Good morning, and we are back with another episode of Around the Indoor Football World. I am joined by my always trusty co-host Krish Vyas and Coach Brandon Henderson. How you guys doing this morning?
We doing good. We doing good.
Awesome. We are here as always to talk about the Indoor Football League, the Arena League, Arena Football 1, and also the National Arena League. But before we get into that, let's play a quick intro video for you guys. All right, nice little bit of metal to get you guys started in the morning. But it's another great day to talk about indoor football. We are closing in on 2,500 subscribers, so if you have not done so already, make sure you come over here on the YouTube channel, click that subscribe button, and help us continue to grow. We are quickly becoming one of the fastest growing alternative football networks, and we are doing everything in our power to continue that growth. So if you could help us with that process, that would be great. Hit the like button, share this as well, and it will go a long way for all of us, that's for sure. So, lots to talk about today. I mean, we'll be getting into subjects like expansion of all the different leagues. We'll be talking about, the ENTFLA owner dropping a little tease about an announcement for the Dragons, which who knows what that guy's got going on at this point. We'll talk about some AF1 players signing with the UFL, the situation with the Idaho Horsemen, Beaumont. I mean, we literally have so much to talk about today and a ton of great guests thanks to Krish here. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I mean, let's start with the UIFA. So Coach B, we haven't really talked much about the UIFA, but I know it's coming up here quickly. You want to kind of fill us in on how everything looks to be working so far, and when the season will kick off and all of that fun stuff.
Season kicks off September 6th for all teams. I know we got a scrimmage today. We got a preseason game tomorrow, next Saturday, and the following the 16th and the 23rd. We kind of kicked off a little earlier than most teams, just to get that feel being we a first year squad. UIFA, you see it went from 10 teams to six right now. Uh, a lot of teams from the W went to the WIF. I guess it's a lower paying league than us now. In the UIFA, we pay players anywhere from $50 to $400. That's max. Season lasts till December. December 20th is projected. The league championship starts September 6th. We adopted some AFL style of rules, so we will be using a version of the AFL rule book. Linebackers can blitz inside or outside the tackle box. You can do stunts on the D line. So we try to add up a little spice to it. I tried to vote this year for being able to blitz more than one player, but it got voted in for 2026. So just trying to build something up. We don't plan on being the IFL, NAL, or nothing like the AF1, but we are going to be on the same level as the TAL or above and the AAL. So I think we're just building a foundation for teams that are looking to become a real professional arena team to uh to build a program, start small and get into one of those bigger leagues. That's how we try to treat it. This year we got about three teams with arenas and three teams do not. But next year, every team in the league has to have an arena, or you will not be in the league. So it's just building it up, man. Programs that want to do it the right way, be professional, and try to become a part of one of the bigger leagues. That's our goal. Our goal is to get as many teams, programs up and into those bigger leagues, so we can have an expansion like we're talking about today.
Interesting. So, for those of you indoor football nuts out there like us, there's going to be a new league, or not a new league, but a reformed league in the UIFA that you can follow along with this winter or this fall, which I personally am very excited about due to the timing. they're really not going to have a ton of competition out there. And I think that's going to really benefit the league in terms of attention from fans, and realistically could end up booing the league early on. So I'm very intrigued to see how this all works out for you guys, and definitely excited to follow along. When do you know where and how we'll be able to catch games?
We're streaming on YouTube. All games will be streamed on YouTube. I know for us, we're YouTube, we're gonna stream through Facebook as well for the power, and we got Twitch page as well, a Twitch and a Discord. So we're gonna be streaming on all platforms.
Smart, smart. I think that's a really smart decision. Seems like a lot of teams hesitate to do that. They want to draw all the views to one situation or one platform, but I don't necessarily know that that's the best course of action. I think this network is kind of proof of that. Wiki asks, who other than Iowa has arenas?
It will be St. Paul Bears is finalizing the deal on their arena, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Wisconsin Aviators are finalizing the deal on the arena.
Very nice, very nice. Now, out of curiosity, with the timing set up the way it is, are coaches allowed to jump back and forth between leagues?
Yes, like I coach in the TAL, so this is the makes this a year-round job for me coaching. You can coach in the spring. After this, that's the idea to get these coaches. This is another league for to develop coaches as well. Get coaches who haven't had a chance, like Cody Hammerhall. You see, he's coming in. See how they do up there in Minnesota. They building a strong, good roster. I think over there. Wisconsin won the league last year, so I never doubt a league champion, no matter what league it is. Some people can say it was a bull crap league last year. It don't matter. They still won a championship. It takes a team to do it. So
I
this
would
is
agree.
I would look at it as a stepping stone for coaches and players to get to that next level in their career.
I like it. I like it. I think that's a very important step to have available for coaches and players as well. So, Texas Pete says, where will the UIFA post their schedule?
It's on the UIFA website, and most teams have it up on all their websites right now.
Perfect. Perfect. Make sure you're dropping your questions for Coach B in the chat. If you want to learn more about the UIFA, here's your opportunity. We are going to transition on to a next topic, but you feel free to keep dropping those questions in the chat. We'll get them answered as we go. You definitely want to keep everybody informed on the UIFA and try and keep them all in the forefront of our minds when we, get out of NFL or IFL season and TAL season here with the championships coming up. But to transition over to our next topic at hand, the ENTFLA owner, Douglas Freeman, has sent out an email that was leaked, or not really leaked, was straight up posted by the Dragons team page, I believe, that there will be an announcement coming for the New York Dragons. In case you guys haven't caught it, recently there have been some reports that the Eau Claire Axemen in the TAL were wearing the New York Dragon jerseys. I have actually confirmed that. That is 100% accurate. They were, in fact, wearing those jerseys. So it's very intriguing to hear now that there's a announcement coming up for the Dragons. Krish, do you have any hunch as to what this announcement could be?
I mean, yeah, they're definitely not joining the IFL. I can put that to rest. It could be they're joining that new formed AAL league. I mean, at that point, a new league starting this late in the cycle, I feel like they would be more open to take anyone. Um,
Hmm.
but I mean, for me, the AF1, but I don't believe this guy. I think this guy's full of crap. I'm just gonna put it out there, man. I mean, you see what he did with the whole wrestling thing and that whole thing involved with him, and then now how he handled this league. I can't believe anything. So I don't know what the announcement is. It could be a new league he's creating. It could be whatever. It could be an announcement that's not even true. So I don't put too much on it. I mean, I hope they're legit. That brand is historic. It would be great to have another New York team, but I don't think it'll work out. But I think if they do join a league, it'll be the American Arena League.
That's an interesting take. My immediate thought was the AF1. I mean, obviously they would have to have a good amount of money and capital behind them to make that work. But, playing a regional playing partner like Albany, you also have Nashville that's fairly close. So, I mean, it could be an advantageous situation, but I'm of the similar thinking with you, Krish. I mean, we basically just experienced a season when this guy was supposed to own 4 teams and a league, and everything was supposed to be great, and we ended up with no teams and no games. And at that point, you kind of have to question anything he says. So I'm in believe it when I see it mode. So that's the where I'm at. Hopefully it works, but we'll see. Coach B, what do you think the announcement is?
I'm shocked. I thought the Axemen had their own uniforms. So I would think the TAL, because I have heard the Axemen have problems, and it's kind of hard for the lead owner own the lead, the Woo, the Axemen, and the Goats. So, and the Wise Guys. So the Wise Guys, the Goats, and the Axemen and the Woo are all owned by the league. So I think that's only thing that scares me about the TAL moving forward. They don't have the stability with one owner owning the league,
Makes
and
sense.
that owner only caters to the Iowa Woo because that's his baby, remember? So, like us, a lot of people don't understand. We have the lowest payroll the last 2 years in the TAL, especially this year with us being owned by Jeff, who owns the Woo. Our payroll's nowhere near the Roos payroll, and we do it off straight just coaching in St. Joe. Players come and want to play for us. It ain't about the money if you come to St. Joe, because we don't have a lot to give. We haven't had a stable ownership yet, so we putting it together. And I don't know. I think it would be the TAL, because if the Axemen had trouble last year, you're gonna replace the Axemen.
It makes sense to me. I mean, you think about the Tommy Benizio connection. Obviously, he was helping the ENTFLA, and then he was also helping the TAL get off the ground. So it makes a lot of sense if there is that situation panning out. Wookie, I didn't mean close, relatively close. Sorry, is what I should have said. Relatively close. You have an Eastern playing partner, even though it's still very far away. You're right. Focusing on one startup team instead of a startup league is the way to go. CFA, I think, is going to run into the same issue. I agree to an extent. I see, like I talked a lot about it. I thought that eventually the ENTFLA was just going to end up being the Eastern division of the TAL at some point. And, it obviously we're a long way past that now, but I saw the logic of starting another full-on league, because realistically, if you start with 4 to 6 teams, you can just turn around and merge with another league, or eventually make some sort of agreement like I was talking with the TAL, and all of a sudden that larger entity makes a lot more sense for everybody involved. You're not making crazy travel trips or anything like that to make it work. So that is definitely something that I will be following along with to see where exactly the Dragons go, or what this announcement is, because it definitely piqued my curiosity when it popped up. I was kind of surprised to see anything come out from the league and from that team in particular at this point. But before we move on, we have a new sponsor, and we're very excited about them. So we're going to go ahead and play for the first time, our new sponsor commercial. Let us know in the chat what you think. And then also I will be dropping a link. Please go check out the link in the chat and help us help this entity. Very nice. The link in the comment. Yeah. Thank you, Ricky Burtz and the Omaha Beef, for sponsoring this show. They are now an official sponsor of Around the Indoor Football World. They are not asking us to promote the beef or become more biased about the beef or anything of that sort. They're strictly trying to get their merchandise out there while also trying to help us continue to create this show. So with that in mind, thank you to the beef for believing in us to help you get the word out there about the new merchandise store. And on that note, if you're a beef fan, if you're an indoor football fan, go support one of the oldest running teams in any league and go buy some beef merchandise. But on that note, let's move on to, let me ask you guys, where do you guys want to go next? We've talked about the UIFA. We've talked about the ENTFLA announcement coming. Where do you guys want to go next?
Expansion real quick. Also, everybody stay tuned. We got coming up, Shady Sports Network is going to be hosting the Iowa Power Hour show every Wednesday, 6 to 7 o'clock this season.
Yes, sir. We got a lot coming for you. We got a lot coming. In fact, let me just tease one more little thing that's coming for you. I'm not going to, play a video or play the intro or anything like that, but we have a very awesome situation where we will have a current coach in the TAL hosting a podcast on this channel coming up here soon. So this all came about because of Krish. Krish is stepping into the producer's shoes coming up here soon. So it's going to be very interesting to see this one. Krish is, pulling double duty for us over here at the network now. So looking forward to that. But basically, we'll just tease it like that. We'll not give you guys a whole bunch of details, but keep an eye out. I believe the first episode is going to be Tuesday, and I do believe that's going to be a live show. Should be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that for sure. I see a little face here from Tony O'Neill. He might have a hunch what's going on. That's some great branding. I agree. And please remember to hit the like button. Thank you, Texas Pete. We appreciate that. Like I said, we're always been big supporters of the beef. They just do things right, and that's what we're all about. We want these teams to treat the players, the coaches, and the fans the right way. And the Omaha Beef have always done it that way. So it was an easy decision when they approached us about running this commercial for them, because at the end of the day, they do things the right way. They're not exploiting players and exploiting coaches. And that's what really matters the most about all of this to us. But Krish, we have your first guest here for the day. So do we want to pivot a little bit, get him on and discuss or to talk with him before we do the expansion discussion?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. So without further ado, we're going to welcome on Coach Jordan Mosley. How's it going, Coach Mosley?
What's going on, Sam? What's going on, Chris? Good morning, guys. Good morning, Shady Sports Network. How y'all doing? Coach B, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, my guy.
Likewise. A little bit early here in the Southwest, but I'll take it. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good, Coach. I appreciate you coming on. So, my first question for you is kind of, our offensive line this year, number 1 in the league, 2 sacks in 16 games. How does that success kind of change your approach to 2026 coaching free agency for you?
Well, it doesn't really change any of the approach. First of all, sending a special shout out to Jordan McRae, Navon Donaldson, Dante Lucas, Nick Ford, Brandon Kemp as well. 5 guys who had a very integral part in us producing everything we produced this year. And to be frank with you, it doesn't change anything, Krish, versus just being a really, really fancy feather in my coaching hat that I am blessed to have earned to be able to put in that in my coaching hat to this 3rd year point going into year 4. And to be exact, the beauty of our sack stat this year is after everything shook down, they counted us for 9 sacks surrendered all year. I only counted 6 in regulation, not including overtime or 2-point conversions. But tomato, But my point is, for us to only surrender 9 sacks in the season, and every team, we finished 5th. Every team in the league above us threw the ball 86 to 114 more times than we did. So to only throw the ball 314 times and give up 9 sacks and only 6 out of 9 in the regulation time of play, pretty stellar work. Pretty stellar work for a team that also won the individual rushing title. So it's just a great compliment to add onto my resume going forward.
Coach C, Coach J, when you look at O-line play, and a lot of people don't understand, that's the biggest. I think you asked what's the hardest position in indoor football. I say DB then O-line. And O-line because you got to go against dogs day in, day out. And with you having the O-line and a great running game, does that set the bigs up to let people know this is where the start of the game is at, and it's won at in the trenches?
Oh, most definitely. I think that I don't necessarily coach that way. I think that was the beauty of becoming the run game coordinator for this past season in Massachusetts. Big shout out to the Pirates organization for giving me the opportunity, and more specifically working with Martino Diaz throughout the year. He challenged me once he took over after the coaching change was made, and even Freddie Griggs as well. They both challenged me all year to make sure that my responsibility as a run game coordinator allowed us to be expansive beyond just the offensive line's expectancy to produce. What we did is in the receiving core, what we did from the quarterback position in relation to carrying out our fate and taking what they gave us in the run game, and also in relation to, Jawal Yateem being an amazing surveyor of talent and personnel and having us blessed to have the most electrifying ball carrier in the IFL in our fold last year, which was Puka Williams out of New Orleans. So, and I don't think it was close. Other than maybe I felt like Josh Tomas is pretty good for Bay Area, and the kid Bracey, number 5 from Iowa, was a pretty good tailback receiver hybrid as well. But to answer your question, that's how I approach it. I don't just put it on the O-line to do what they need to do. I stress that being on their ass every day as their position coach, respectively. But as a run game coordinator, it helped me understand the value of making sure that everybody understands their importance and understands their 1/4, if you will, because 4 positions on offense: quarterback, receiver, lineman, wideouts. You're 1/4 in the run game. How can we maximize your 1/4 in the run game? Yes, sir.
On Wednesday, the news dropped that offensive lineman Brandon Camp signed a 2-year deal with the Toronto Argonauts for the CFL. How much pride does that give you as his own line coach? And what did you see in him that made you believe he could play at that next level?
I would say that Brandon Kemp, along with Dante Lucas, I got to mention him just for the thought of what you've asked me. In the 3 years of me coaching, they're the 2 best linemen I've had with first-year upside, as in this is their first year in pro ball, and this is their first year in IFL, and they have that much upside without already have been at the high pro level, right? And specifically speaking of Brandon, amazing length, plays with great patience, very technically sound in relation to the waist down, meaning as a lineman, he doesn't have to do anything excessive with his lower body disposition when he plays to be successful against talent. And then also, his length allows him to win in some disadvantageous positions within the arena game, because we both know that arena blocking and arena pass rush and arena run blocking and arena run defense is all about angles. It's all about angles. And to speak to what I had with him as far as the product of player, consummate professional, came every day. He worked, he grinded, went through a nasty little small injury. We was able to take care of that, get a visor slapped on him ASAP, and he was able to go out there and just continue to champion himself forward towards the opportunity that he earned. He gave me a little bit of a correspondence about that postseason that he would potentially be going into that. So I'm glad to see the Argonauts chose to pull the trigger. I think they have one of the better young outdoor tackles in minor league professional football for sure.
I mean, you look at us, right? Number one defense, number one O line, number one running back in the league, and we still finished 7-9 and missed the playoffs. You've been in the joint since day one in the IFL. Talk to me about how much that speaks about the parity of the league.
Well, I think that within what happened with us, within what took place last week out in Glendale, off the record, I think, well, this is an interview, so on the record, but I won't say much about it because I look at it from a third person's view as a coach in our league. But the different rumors of franchises coming out, the IFL is parity. That's my point. I think that parity in our league is a very unique and very delicate balance. I think parity is good for professional football leagues, but I also think that parity is a product of change and a product of constant evolution. Or let me rephrase, if parity is a product of change, then it should be a product of constant evolution for the greater good of the product of said league. And I think that you know, the parity of the IFL allows for that. And I would hope that the upcoming parity that I think is going to come from the shakedown of what took place last week in the playoffs, though, hopefully that won't be parity that allows the IFL to not be looked at in a positive light. But I think that parity is one of the greatest elements that this league possesses, and it's something that I enjoy and find exciting as far as being gainfully employed within the IFL as a coach. It's something that definitely makes me tune in and watch. And I think parity at the IFL is the glue that helps keeps a lot of us as even media focuses in the league or people with media interest in the league, very in tune and very attentive to what's going on an every week basis. So I think as of right now, parity plays very well in the hands in the favor of the IFL, 100%.
You spoke about it earlier. I didn't want to mention this to you. You know, Coach Manas came in middle of the season, week 5. At one point, we had 10 different coaches on staff, 5 former head coaches. How is the chemistry amongst the coaching staff despite the constant change?
I had an absolutely amazing time learning all of the lessons that were being shown to me by the coworkers that I had on coaching staff in Massachusetts. I think that as far as the young coaches on the staff, I think that we're all bright, young-minded, fresh-minded, intense, competitive level coaches that I think have continued work to do to perfect our craft for the betterment of the product that we want to continue to produce as coaches in this thing of ours, as far as the arena indoor game and even maybe higher levels of the UFL or the CFL or NFL from a coaching or from a personnel perspective, number one. And number two, just speaking for myself in this position, I'm eternally grateful for all of the wisdom in the room that came from being around a Mark Stout, that came from being around a Freddie Griggs, and came from being around a Thomas Manas, a Martino Diaz, and a Chris McKinney. All coaches that have been head coaches, which is what I aspire to be one day, sooner than later. And also all coaches who understood nuance about the game of football that I wasn't privy to outside of just offensive line and run game play. So it allowed me to expand my palette and just be able to broaden my horizon and spectrum of just what I knew as a coach. Again, I would take a quote from Coach Manas briefly. If I'm the smartest man in a room of coaches, I'm doing a bad job. I might not want to be in that room. Or if I am in a room like that, I better be in the room with some hungry ass young coaches that are ready to learn all that I may know, since I'm supposedly the smartest man in the room. But my point is, I never like to be like that. I like to avoid that at all costs. Knowledge is power, so.
You dropping gems this morning, Coach Jay. I see you. You dropping them
I appreciate
gems.
you, Coach B. Thank you. I appreciate
My
it, bro.
question is, for a young and upcoming coach like you and for other young and upcoming coaches, is this now decade, is this time to step up for the young coaches and show the world that we can do it too, like the Manases and them have always done it. And you, the prime example, you went in your bag this season. Number one
Thank you.
in offense as a
Thank you.
run game coordinator.
Thank you.
Do that is that your stepping stone?
Well, again, as the answer I gave to Chris's first question of the morning, it's an amazing feather in my cap. It's an amazing stepping stone to show coaches of 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 of, of greater tenure and experience in our league what I'm capable of with what you give me to work with. You see what I mean? For one, and to more directly answer your question, there's a pecking order in professional coaching. I think that, the number one unable to be defeated element that goes against the pecking order of coaching in pro football is time. What does that mean, Coach what does Coach Mosley mean by that? Time will never stop. It always continues and it always brings everlasting change. So for me, as I know that time will continue to travel by, and the more tenured and more seasoned coaches in this thing of ours will go on to do other things, will go forward, will eventually retire and no longer want to coach. I do think that over the next 2 to 4 years, there is a very exciting window of opportunity for young coaches or for coaches who have been maybe a head coach once or twice and now have an opportunity to continue to develop a constant rapport. Guys like myself, guys like Mike Tatum, guys like Rashawn Kaiser, guys like Tyler Knight, guys like Xavier Jackson, guys like Freddie Griggs, guys like Malcolm Goins out in Bay Area, guys like Javonte Snoop Blackman out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, guys like Clay Harrell in Jacksonville, guys like Coach, if I'm not mistaken, Coach Chris Robinson, guys like the younger guys up in Quad Cities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Guys like Sia Burley, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, in the next 4 to 6 years, I think the coaching world in indoor arena football will look different as far as the IFL, AF1, NAL go. But I do think that there is always a constant populace of coaches with great experience, kind of laying in the dark, if you will, looking to come out and looking to want to reestablish themselves. But I would say definitely over the next let's say 4 to 5 years, 6 years is a max, I think is a major window for the changing of the guard as far as new blood of head coaches and leadership in this thing of ours. But it's also a thing of placeholder. Nobody's looking to get a job as a coach and then just give it up immediately. So if you're going to take one of these 14 positions in the IFL, one of these 8 positions in the AF1, and another one of those 8 to potentially rumored 10 slots in the NAL, you better have your SHIT together. 100%. 100%. So 100%. That's just how it goes.
I did want to ask you, when you were a player and a coach, you ran a show, very popular, IFL Weekly with Jordan Mosley. I really enjoy watching that. From a media element, what do you want to see from the IFL going forward?
Again, another great question. I would like, and I guess I have to speak on the league that I'm a part of, right? As far as the Arena League goes, AF1, again, I'm not a part of that. I'm not a part of NAL, so I'll get them out the way. With the AF1 or with the AFL, and I guess I'll just nominate myself. Eventually, I would love to see these leagues have some type of, maybe not year round, but some type of multiple month long standing tenure in media in relation to just like maybe a weekly or a bi-weekly or a monthly presentation to keep the rabid arena fan that's hungry and thirsty for information all the time, the Krish Vyases of the world or the Stephen Lanes in the world or the, like different guys, but I just feel like there should be a group or a set of gentlemen or a team of broadcasters that would want to just speak about what's going on an everyday basis, on an everyday basis. And not only that, but be knowledgeable and be very, very well versed in what's going on with, and also be able to present it from a very professional connotation, not backbiting, not rumors and unnecessary jargon, not a bunch of things that go against the greater nomenclature of what we're trying to build for the substance of this product that we want to present, and more specifically in the IFL, this is more of I guess, a specific plan, in my opinion, or opinion of plan. Take myself, yourself, a guy like Stephen and maybe another guy, whatever. Just take three of us. And, of course, it will come with, negotiations of business and things of that nature I won't get into detail of, but find a way to make it worthwhile to where you can have people be able to collaborate directly with the league and have a plethora of different information and different narratives and different, just different types of media and different types of correspondence, analysis, and broadcasting that speaks to what's going on in this thing of ours on a regular basis. I have a great idea, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm going to hold that one to the belt. Let's just say that it would be really great one day if a guy could get into the media world of the IFL and arena game and the NAL and have some of the better Pantheon level coaches and players of all time have a conversation about who was great and why they were greater. That would be dope. I'm not going to give anything more to my idea, but I think that would be really great to have those sit down conversations with some of the most polarizing figures in our league since at least I entered it in 2013. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but answer nonetheless.
That's not long at all. That's a perfect answer, man. Answer it how you answer it. What can we see next for Coach Mosley? You know what I'm saying? What's in your bag, in your hat?
I tell all people to just stay tuned. And a good buddy of mine, a good mentor, just spoke to me within the last 7-8 days. He directly said, and I quote, "Be patient." So with that being said, you guys just gotta wait. I think Chris probably knows of me the longest in this thing of ours, in this quartet of this interview this morning. And Chris knows that when I played, I was always on Facebook, always on Instagram, a lot of stories, pregame, postgame, my locker shot, all types of things that I did that would, tickle my fancy media wise when I played. But just stay tuned, man. I'm very cut and dry and I'm very bland and boring on social media these days. Everything these days is just about what you're seeing me talk about with live sport, because I do plan on one day getting back into the sport media outlet. But just as far as what's next, everybody stay tuned. We'll talk about, and you guys will see what goes on. But in one sentence, I'm very excited and adamant about the prospectus of my career going forward by way of the feedback that I've received on the open market in relation to different entities that may be able to offer me work. So I'm very excited. We'll see. Good things are to come, though, for sure.
These guys may have already asked it, so I apologize if I'm re-asking this question. Unfortunately, my computer crashed right as I welcomed you.
Sam, if you're talking, buddy, I can't hear you. You might be muted.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
I still can't hear you.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe it's my fault. Come back through with that question again, Coach B.
I said, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess my question for you would be, you look at these IFL playoffs. I mean, talk about Vegas, man. 4th seed, they beat Bay Area shockingly, and then they go last night and beat San Diego. When you look at the playoffs, man, I gotta ask, who do you got winning the championship, and what do you think it'll take for that team over?
Well, first of all, I think that this year's IFL, set of games in IFL playoffs and this package of IFL playoffs, I thought that It's been an amazing production. I like the fact that the exclusivity that IFLnetwork.com gives the arena fan to want to tune in. I think that, beyond the obvious parody moment last week in Glendale that, again, I'm not going to elaborate on because I am an employee of this league. I just feel like you see certain things, or I noticed certain things that were constant success points for teams all year. Those are the same constant success points that are being tapped into in the playoffs. A great O-line play, a hellified pass rush, a little bit of nuance and variety in the goal line in relation to heavy groups and formations and personnel. And last but not least, having a quarterback who's looking down the barrel of the gun with ice in his veins. Those are the four main things that I would definitely take from seeing what is going on so far in this thing of ours as far as the 2025 IFL playoffs in this presentation. Got a lot of love for Coach Corey Ross and the Quad City Steamrollers. Big shout out to Malik Duncan, Gerard Ware, Daquan Neal, personal friends of mine, Stud Rudd out there. I think that Green Bay is the most close-knit team on the East Coast this year. Big shout out to my former quarterback, Matt Barrett. We did really, really great things on offense in 2016 as teammates, and now I see that reflected in his leadership as a play caller. I think it's amazing. Big shout out to Coach Davis out there in Las Vegas, one of my best friends in arena ball, Claude Davis, going to now I think his 6th or 7th championship, and he's also only pass rusher to be in a position where now he's been in the championship in the 2010s and 2020s at IFL. And to my knowledge, I don't know of a IFL Hall of Fame level pass rusher who's been to the championship out of the East and West since we kind of restructured our model in 2017 with the addition of Arizona. So, I would, and last but not least, unfortunately, big shout out to my former quarterback, Nate Davis. My point is, guys, I have so much inclusion as far as knowing all these guys through the playoffs. But to get to your answer, I would probably take Vegas. And the reason why I take Vegas is, again, those 4 major aspects of things in the playoffs that we see that nobody else, or that teams that are not in the playoffs anymore maybe didn't master the best. Vegas has a hell of a heavy package. You saw that last night with the 3-man D line, QB sneak with Jerome Johnson. Obviously, I'm telling no secrets, so Coach Mike won't trip. But from there, they have a great 2-quarterback system in relation to the continuity and congruence in play calling. Big shout out to Curtis Chin, one of the best offensive minds in our league. I don't think it's close. And then from there, when you look at their trench play, both sides of the ball, Moses Mallory, a former guy that I coached in Frisco, Claude Davis, a former guy that I played with and played against for many a year over my 9-year career. And also, I think that in my personal opinion, you look at continuity, a family unit. I think Green Bay has that to offer I think Quad Cities has to offer that as well. But I feel like Vegas is going to win the title because of this, and this one only sentence. This is a more personal opinion. If anybody to take it the type of way they feel free, that's on them. In my personal opinion, the West is a more competitive side, I think. I think the West has maybe a better player. Roster spot. I'm not shitting on anybody. I think the IFL has amazing players across all 14 brands. Let me be very clear. But at the end of the day, in the Eastern Conference, I think that coaching wins a lot in the Eastern Conference. There's great coaches in the East. But the West, there's great coaches, and there's hell of a players. There's hell of a players in the East, too. Jimmy Robinson, Jacksonville, Daquan Neal, Puka Williams, Jordan McCray, DJ Dale, those 3 names I think about out of Mass, Max Myler, Andre Williams, Torrey Boyd out of Green Bay. And, I think, Tulsa with TJ Edwards pre-ankle fracture and stuff like that. Get well soon, TJ. But I think that, the West is just a little bit better of a side of the ball of the conference. And I can speak to this because I've coached on both. So it's not like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I sat in the room with Les Moss for 18 weeks and went about it a certain grind. Same thing with Billy back in the East in 2023, and now most recently with Coach Manas and the Massachusetts Pirates in 2025. I've been on it both sides. I just think the West. I think the West is where it's at. That's why I got Vegas. I'll do you guys one better. I say Vegas by 10 or less. Because everything in the IFL in the playoffs is pretty much one possession game or better. Or less. So I got Vegas by 10 or less. If I were a betting man.
Or it's an overtime game that was probably one of the best indoor football games played in recent memory. Can you hear me now, Coach Mosley?
Can't hear you, Sam.
All right. I'm not sure what's going on there.
I'm
Chris,
pretty
you guys
sure
have
everybody else
anything?
can. It's probably just me. I don't know, guys. My
No,
apologies.
sorry.
Okay.
Chris, do you have anything else for Coach Mose?
Nah, Coach Mo, I appreciate you. We locked in, and I look forward to see where you're headed next year. I know you got big plans, so best of luck.
Likewise. Well, Chris, Coach B, Sam Shady, I want to say thank you guys for the opportunity. Thank you for your time, and just continue to keep doing what y'all are doing in the media space. I think that both the AFL and the IFL, and even the NAL respectively, I think that all three leagues are trying to continue to grow their conglomerate brands to be better and be more serviceable and be a better presentation in the media space. And I think that you three men will always help spearhead that. And then one day maybe we can all maybe get together in a quartet and do some things in media, because I think we can do some great things maybe eventually in that space as well. And although early as hell on a Saturday morning, thank you guys for your time. And I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
All right, Coach Jay.
100%.
Hey, Sam, just to give Chris some shit. Didn't I say Vegas was going to be here? I believed in
did.
Coach
You
Mike
did.
Davis.
Can
And
you
I
guys
think,
hear me okay?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you when, I don't know how Coach Mosley didn't hear you. I can hear you then too. But
That's weird. I've
Coach
never had that
Davis did
problem.
a hell of a job last night, man. And I'm proud to say that. I've been watching it for a long time.
No. Let me say one thing,
Hold
man.
on, hold on,
Oh,
hold on,
Lord.
hold
No.
on,
Let
hold
him
on.
finish. Come
No, I
on,
don't want to.
Krish.
I don't want to hear your bull crap this morning, okay? Because you're gonna try to
Woo!
make an excuse for your stuff. You've been giving Coach Davis shit all year, and I'm backing him up right now. Where are your Pirates at? Because the real
Oh,
ballers are in the playoffs. Real ballers are in the playoffs right now. You're not gonna keep putting that crap on Coach Davis. You're gonna respect his name. And I got Green Bay to win tonight, even though I'm a Quad City fan too.
here's a good point by Texas Peace. The West always has the home field advantage at the championship. We attended the last 3 championship games, and the crowd was basically 98% West. They could alternate coasts each year to try and assist in the home field advantage aspect of that. I agree. Or maybe you find a permanent solution somewhere in the middle of the country. You just kind of pick the central most arena and have the game there every year. Maybe a thought. But I like that thought because, realistically, the West teams have had a pretty good advantage when it comes to that. And yes, Plush King, you're right. The Pirates are or have been in Cancun for at least a week now. But let's go ahead and welcome on our next guest.
Hold on. I need to respond to
Okay.
this. I can't take this.
All right, sorry.
So, all right, Jawad, man. Hey, big bro, you watching? Like, we got 3 options for head coach next year: Curtis Chin, Boaz Bagante, or actually no, those are my 2.
The man who was just on the screen.
Yes, yes, but we I'm not going to comment on that, but he's he's moving on to better things. I think Bones Bagante. I really want Bones to be our head coach next year. I think he can come and win a championship in Mass. My message to her to Chin, man, like
I don't think Bones is leaving Wise Guys, man. He's in a great position down there.
Easy. If he gets the offer here, he's out, man. Look, I like to say relationships are temporary, championships are forever, right? So Bones won a championship here. We can get him another ring. He can lead us to a ring or her to Chin. But I want Jerome Johnson to be a quarterback next year. I want him to be a quarterback next year. I hope we sign him. I think he'll lead us to great things. So, that's my thing. I gave Coach Davis a lot of shit. I was wrong in this one. I'm never wrong. But when I'm wrong, I can admit I'm wrong. I'm the first one to admit I'm right, and I'm the last one to admit I'm wrong. But I was wrong. So, I underestimated Vegas. I still don't believe in that defense. 68 points last night. I think we could, run up the score on them, but it is what it is. They're headed to the championship, but I still got Quad City winning the whole thing. So that's my last hope.
We'll see. That sounds like a little bit of a spiteful pick there, but let's hit a quick commercial and then we'll welcome on our next guest, Coach O from the Salina Liberty. All right, shout out once again to the Omaha Beef. Make sure you check out their new merchandise store. Coach O, how you doing this morning, sir?
Pretty good, and yourself? Thanks
Doing
again.
great. It's been a little while since we've had you on. Thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thanks again for the invite.
Absolutely. So you just completed a very, very long and arduous season. I mean, obviously, our first question, if we're kicking this off, has to be, how did you keep your team mentally in it? It started off really tough, and then you guys managed to rally when it mattered the most, and it ended up right in the playoffs where it seems like you are at every year.
Well, I mean, you got a point there. Of my 20 years, I've been to the playoffs 18 of 20 years, so you're correct on that. It basically is a mindset, championship mindset. We didn't win the championship. We didn't get to the championship game, but that mindset is what helped us through that. A lot of teams would have faltered being 0-4, giving up on the season. That's not me. That's not where I come from, and that's not our ownership group. So more importantly, it was not our players. Once we tinkered with a couple different things and started to play the way we were paid and expected to play, everything kind of fell into place. We got the right people in the right spots to make the plays that we knew they could make. And we just started winning football games. And that's what we're there to do. We're not there to be losing and finding excuses of why we're losing. Excuses satisfy those who make them. And I don't make any excuses. And just when we were winning 6 out of 7, I was just as confident as when we were 0-4. If you looked at our coaches' shows after each and every loss, 0-4, I didn't put the blame on anybody but myself. I needed to do a better job. I needed to put players in better positions to make plays out there. So I'll take that on the chin. It was the second time in my 20 years that we started 0-4, but the same result was we still ended up in the semifinals both of those years. The first one was in 2007 with the Billings Outlaws. We started off 0-4 after winning the championship in 2006. And then this year, and we still made it to the semifinals and made a little noise there, but looking for bigger and better things this year, especially this offseason, looking for some ball players that are hungry, ball players that want to be taught, that want to play for an organization that is, that's what we live. We live for championships. We live to be the team that's hunted. That's what we're looking for as far as our mindset. We're looking for coaches and things of that nature as well to have that same mindset. So a very long answer to that question, but I truly believe that's why we were able to pull it out.
Makes perfect sense. Krish, do you have anything for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, I appreciate you jumping on with us. I think my first question for you is obviously, Rakeem Cato, right? He came in with his leadership, at a time of need. Are you close to making him the franchise quarterback with Jalen Kogo retiring?
I'm not sure on anything at this particular point as far as any players. We're still in the evaluation portion of what we're trying to do, figuring out a couple things here and there that's kind of going on behind the scenes, so to say. So I'm not going to commit to any player at this particular moment. But he definitely came in and did his thing for us. He was a guy that everywhere he's been, he's put up numbers, and you can definitely see why he is supremely talented in this game of football. He knows the game of football inside and out, and he was a leader that we needed at that time to do the things that we needed to do. We needed somebody to right the ship. He was the man that a lot of people wouldn't, I wouldn't say volunteer, but wouldn't step up for that opportunity, because I take it as an opportunity. 0-4, you can look at it as like, hey, we're going to just continue to slide, or I'm going to come in and do something about it. He came in with that ladder of that. He came in with, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to be one of the reasons why this thing is turned around. So I supremely thank him for what he did for us this year.
That's sawed off, coach. That's what you get when you get 12 gauge right there. Boy, when you tell the day I die, any team I'm on, I'm bringing pain. What
Absolutely.
was the what was the biggest change that you had when you lost those four straight and then you turned it around? What did you do in your system and your team and your organization to say, hey, this ain't it. This ain't Coach O. We got to do it the right way.
Well, it's basically getting them to buy into what we were trying to do and getting players in that can execute at a high rate under pressure situations. We were in pretty much all of those games that we were 0-4 in. It was just 2 or 3 plays that we would get down and start harping on the mistake, and then it would kind of snowball. So when you get more players in that understand how to play the game, one, and understand what arena football is like, I mean, you could score 30 points in 4 or 5 minutes. So once you get those type players in that understand the game, we had a lot of guys out there that, I mean, in our first 2 to 3 games, we had 6 or 7 or 8 players each week playing their first ever arena football game. So the experience is what I brought in, bringing in players like Torrey Boyd, Torrance Williams, Cato, Beavers, guys that know how to play the game, that's been in many, many wars, that play at extreme high clip. They came in, and I think they changed the mantra of what we were doing. And they knew it. They were supremely confident in themselves, and they brought that to the practice field. I think that's where we improved the most, is what we did in practice, how we competed in practice. It was many fights, arguments, people taking things very serious at practice. And that wasn't always the case before we brought those 4 gentlemen in, and then bringing in Bailey, our kicker, who won us, two out of our last 3 games on the last play of the game. I think that was a major upgrade. I think that was probably one of the biggest that goes, overlooked, is what Bailey did for us, coming in and not even really even living there. He just comes on game day and shows up and puts on a great performance for us, and kicking against some of the best in the league, and be a young guy that never even played or kicked indoor. He came in and was a huge, huge piece for what we were trying to do, and won us some ball games.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think he was a very clutch piece of the puzzle for you guys late in the season there. Talk to me about what you look for in kickers in particular. I mean, it's obviously a huge change to come, indoors from an outdoor perspective when you're a kicker. I mean, are you looking specifically, how they hit the ball, how it travels, or how do you scout kickers specifically?
Well, you definitely want to see the leg talent, but that's something you're born with, is the leg talent. But it's a thing that it's called that clutch gene, and he has it. He has it. I remember when we played Albany, at Albany. It was the game that we won but didn't win, if you know what I mean. Instead of going for the last play there that we scored the touchdown to win the game, he was upset, even though we scored the touchdown to win the game, even though they called a flag on that, the phantom flag. He was upset that I could have hit the 35-yard field goal. But the thing was, I didn't have any experience with him at doing that. Because again, like I said, he would just come on game day. He came the first he only came to one practice all year. So I kind of knew his range, but didn't trust it at that point. But as we went further and further along in the season, the more and more he garnered my trust in getting the job done in that clutch situation. So I would say that clutch gene and the consistent gene is what I really truly look for, because anybody can make a great kick here and there, but the consistent guy that can place it exactly where you want it placed and has that pop. I mean, when you can hear it, you don't even have to see it. I remember when he was warming up. I think his first game was at Billings, off of one practice, 15-hour bus trip to Billings from Salina, and he was warming up, and Coach Cedric from the Billings Outlaws was like, "Whoa, that ball sounds a little bit different coming off that leg right there. Oh, you got you one right there." And that's how you kind of know what's what. I mean, he has supreme talent, and hopefully we can get him his opportunity to at least be in the UFL, CFL, NFL. I think he has that type of ability. So supremely talented, even better person. He's working to be a lawyer. I think he's got one more year of law school, and then he'll be a lawyer down there. So praying for him to get his opportunity, because he is definitely one that he checks all the boxes as far as guys that can move up. He hits all of those criteria.
I would agree. And honestly, if we're talking about guys who can move up and what translates the best outdoors, I mean, you got to talk about the kicking game. We've seen multiple kickers from the indoor and alternative football leagues make it to the NFL and whatnot. So would not surprise me at all. Krish, do you have a question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach. One of the big decisions you made during the season was to bring in Larache Jackson, defensive coordinator. How hard was it to kind of take back defensive play calling, and what was that relationship like between you and Coach Larache?
Well, it was a pretty good relationship. We did what we needed to do with our time together. It was very difficult to go back and do defense as well, because that was kind of the plan in the whole offseason, was for me to just, call the offense and not do the defense. But as a head coach, you got to do what's necessary for your team to win and give them the best opportunity to win. So the best thing I can say about it is it was a good relationship. The communication was good there, and it was just good to finally start getting some wins there at the end. So I was excited to get back into the winning columns, and once we started to do that, the players started to respond, and then they started to they started to get the confidence that they needed to play back there. Because if you look at it, the guys that we had playing, in the secondary, we only really had one vet that played arena football. All the rest of them were pretty much rookies to arena football. So it was very difficult to try to get them to understand the different schemes and that you need to do and how to play it and not overthink things and things of that nature. So definitely was a good time, and definitely wish him well.
Coach, I'm glad. Great question, Chris. You segued into my next question perfectly. How are you able to go about calling both sides of the ball? I mean, I feel like that's got to be extremely difficult when you're trying to game plan for both offense and defense. I mean, there's only so many hours in the week.
Well, yeah. Out of my 20 years coaching, 17 of them as a head coach. Of those 17, I think it's been 14 years I've called offense and defense. So in the beginning, it was very, very difficult because it was the unknown. But once you've done it for a while, it's kind of like, riding a bike. And I'm glad you said what you said. A lot of people thinks it's very easy. Just go out there and just call plays. It's not a big deal. But the film and prep work that you have to do, like what I do is play the game of chess in my head. I play the game in my head before I even play the game. So putting myself in different situations, different parts of the field, down 15, up 10, down 3 in different situations is what I do. And then with my film study of trying to figure out what, covers they're going to be in, what front they're going to be in, and then flip it back over. What kind of offense are they going to be running? In arena, it's a little bit easier because you can only do certain amount of formation, so you kind of know what's what. It's just, do you have the athletes to play it, is what it comes down to. More in the indoor football setting is a little bit more difficult, because you could do the defenses are the defense and offense are multiple. So it makes it a little bit more difficult with the different things you could do, and it makes the prep time a little bit more. But when it comes to arena, it was a little easier, but that's not an easy job. I don't wish that on anyone. And just because you make it look easy doesn't mean that it is easy. And I think a lot of people take that for granted because they're used to seeing me do that. But believe me, that is not by, how can you say, by plan. It's by what the team needs at that particular point. So hopefully, moving forward, we can find some guys that can come in and help me out and do what they do, and then I can call one side of the ball and just be an overseer of the rest of the team. That's my plan moving forward this year, this offseason. That's why I'm moving a little bit slower with different things and thinking things out a little bit better and trying to get the right people in the right spot, so to say.
That makes sense. Could you tip your hand a little bit and tell us any potential coaching candidates to join your staff for 2027?
Well, one of them already know, and I think you guys will know him as well, but we'll be announcing here soon our new coach, and I think it's going to shake up a couple things, and he's a close friend of mine. I've known him for over 20 years or so. So, a guy that got skin in the game, played the game at the highest level, knows a lot of different people, is going to help with recruiting. But at this point, I don't want to say his name at this moment. I want to, let him get his flowers when his time comes, so he can have that whole time to, be celebrated, and then let's get to work. Not to say that we haven't already begun to get to work. So I know one coach, at least. I'll say it that way. And as you can see with the smile on my face, I know what he's going to bring to the table. He's proven it as a player. He's proven it as a coach. And I'm very, very excited. And we are very blessed to have him come coach with us this year.
Awesome. Looking forward to who that might be. I'm trying to rack my brain and think of candidates off the top of my head, but I'm blanking at the moment. So I'll have to hit you with some guesses later on. Ricky Burtz has a question for you here. Coach O, of all the teams you've coached for, what do you think was your most dominant team?
Oh, that was easy. That's 2009 Billings Outlaws. I had the defensive player of the year that had, I think it was like 16 sacks, and he only played in 10 games and went straight to the CFL before the season was even over, and Mike Landry. Chris Dixon was in his prime. I think he scored, over 100 touchdowns that year. James Walton, he had, I think, 40 touchdowns as a receiver. We had Robert Red, who I did a trade probably third game in, and I think he had like 25 touchdowns. We had C4, who was a former running back of the Titans at running back. We had Tim Brown, who went on after the 2010 season to go play with the BC Lions. We had McCain, who was a guy that went to a junior college that was 6'6", running a 4.4 with a 46-inch vertical. We had Gaddafi. We had Muhammad back there in the secondary. We had the Michael Eby, who was the IFL rookie defensive player of the year and should also be in the Hall of Fame. We had Kelly Rouse, who was a rookie at linebacker that had over 100 tackles and 10 sacks and 3 picks. We had Michael Bazemore, who's another one that should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he had like 14, 15 sacks that year. We had Mania Smith, who was already, that was his first year, but he's in the Hall of Fame now. We had some guys. So that was, I think, was my best team. We went 15-2 that year, and we won the IFL first championship in 2009. I would say that was my most dominant team from top to bottom. And it wasn't a lot of big name people there. They just made big plays when it was time to make big plays. And the thing that I love about it is, like, I still live here in Billings, and I mean, it's not a time that I go out that somebody comes up to me and say, "Hey, that '09 team you had was pretty monstrous, man." And that's always a good feeling when you build a team like that. And just the way that team came together, the great Chris Dixon, his leadership on that offense to, get those receivers to understand exactly what we were trying to do there, and get it pretty quickly, making sure that people were held accountable. It was no nonsense. It was a different time. It was a different era. It was where, like they say, it's the Patriot way. Back when the Patriots were winning, we had a great locker room. And when you have a great locker room that hold themselves accountable, it makes it very easy as a head coach to go about your business and implement different things and already have the trust of your team to know that you're putting them in the right spot. It's no guessing or hesitation or anything. They take your word for what it is because of the leadership you have in your locker room. And that's something that we're going to have to do better in Salina, as well as we have some core guys in Fast Ed, Tracy Brooks, that are guys that have been there. Travis Taylor, guys that's been there, been with me for more than 4 or 5 years, to understand exactly what we're looking for. Alike Tapa is another one that's been there now 4 years, that know the Liberty way. And it's only one way. It's the Liberty way. That's what that's what I'm repping right here today. So the locker room is key in those type chats right there.
Makes perfect sense. Through that brief rundown you just made there, I heard a lot of names elevating. So I was curious, over your years, I know you've elevated a lot of players. In fact, there's one still in the CFL to this day in Tyree Adams. Who sticks out in your mind as the player that got the opportunity that that you felt really deserved it? I know that's kind of a hard question to answer. I'm sure you felt all of them deserved it, but
well, shoot, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I know you said one. My first one was J.R. Ruffin, University of Idaho, when I was with the Casper team. The Wyoming Cavalry was my first, which was a very electrifying defensive back that also was a great kick returner. But it's so many. But if you look at, I would probably say Tim Brown is the one that comes to mind. He's a guy that started off at Temple as a part-time starter, went to Sioux City. They didn't find a spot for him. Then he bounced and came my way via agent. And 2009 was the second. He was basically 1B to our run game because we had C4 there as well. And then in 2010, the way he exploded and led us as the bell call running back. But then in the playoffs, he had 6 kick returns for touchdowns. That's what got him to the BC Lions. He's one that sticks out in my mind. Tuff Johnson, I got him there. Well, he got him. I don't ever say I got him there. They got themselves there for one. Your film is what gets you there. But Tuff Johnson is a guy that he went to the NFL 3 times in my program. He went twice to the Giants and once to the Saints. So I know you said one, but those are the ones that kind of just stick out in my mind. Kamali Matthews is another one that played for me 3 years. Actually, he played for me 3 years with the Liberty. And then he went to the XFL twice. So as a lineman, we were the only team in the CIF that year to had a guy to go to the XFL. So it doesn't matter if I'm in the CIF, if I am in the IFL or the Arena League or the NIFL. Those are all the 4 leagues I've coached in. Guys have moved up in my program in each and every one of those stops. So I may not be able to give you, the big contracts and anything like, most teams probably can. But what I can do for you on the back end, far as getting you the opportunity if your play is conducive with moving up, I think that's what the game is truly all about. And, I think my track record speaks for itself. 65 players have moved up in my 20 years of coaching. I would like to put that up there against any coach that's ever coached indoor football to say those type numbers. So very excited about our future there in Salina. We're building something. We've built something. It's not building now. We built it, and now we just got to fine tune it. Working with our great organization, great ownership group is what helps with that, because without the ownership group, there's no team. Without the team, I can't coach. Without me coaching, those 65 players wouldn't have got an opportunity.
Greatly, or very well put. I love what you said there about that's what this is all about. Indoor football is supposed to be a stepping stone, and don't get me wrong, I love the guys that make a career out of it. It takes a very very unique individual to make that work, both inside and outside of football. So as far as that goes, but it's also about, helping the players that are young get to the next level and get their opportunities. So I really like that you threw that out there. And I knew you had sent a lot of players up, but 65 is a very large number, 20 years or not. So that's impressive. Krish, do you have anything else for Coach Joe before we let him get out of here?
No, Coach, I appreciate your time. I look forward to seeing where you guys end up league-wise in 2026.
Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Coach O, it's always a pleasure. Look forward to having you on, hopefully, just before the season, as always. And maybe we could talk about a little bit more in depth about where you're headed, what the goals are, who your staff is, all that fun stuff.
Definitely. I'd definitely love to come back on and maybe get the mystery guy that I'm talking about, get him some shine as well, because he's been a head coach before. He'll be a head coach again, probably after this season with us. Very, very excited about it. And maybe once we make that announcement, maybe we'll try to do something like that.
Sounds great. We would love to.
All righty. Thanks again, Sam.
Definitely. Have a great day, Coach, and look forward to speaking to you next time.
All righty. Thanks again.
Have a good one. All right. Once again, that was Coach Haran O'Neill of the Salina Liberty. Always great to talk to him. Thank you once again, Krish, by the way. You lined up a great group of guests this morning. And here in a second, we will get on the general manager of the Hot Springs Wise Guys, who just advanced to Arena Mania 2 in the Arena League. He is going to discuss some of the things that helped get them there, and we're very excited to learn more about the Wise Guys. Before we get to that, we're going to play one more quick commercial, and we will be right back.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me.
It's so easy. Get out your own way.
It's just so easy.
All right, we are back with General Manager Chris Goodman of the Hot Springs Wise Guys. Mr. Goodman, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good. How are you guys doing? Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all ours. Chris, you want to kick this one off, buddy?
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, boss. My first question for you is kind of taking it all the way back to the head coaching search. You landed on my boy Bones Bagante. How difficult was that coaching search for you? First time GM kind of stepping into that role. I know you're only 28. You're the youngest current active GM in the country. So,
yeah, it was difficult in the beginning because, of course, we had a lot of people reach out that wanted to be a head coach. But I will say, once I got that email and Bones was like, "Hey, I want the head coaching position," it was pretty much, it's yours, whenever you want to officially take it and come out here. So, I've been kind of a fan of the Mass Pirates. So I've watched them before. I've known their game. I know what Coach Bones can bring. So yeah, the minute he was like, "I want to be your head coach," I was like, "Let's do it, man. The search is over."
First of all, my condolences for being a Pirates fan. No, just kidding. Get that out of the way for Krish. Man, I'm shocked to hear you're only 28 years old and in a general manager position. And I don't mean that in a bad way. That is impressive. Obviously, you've done some things very right to get to where you're at today. How did this all come about? I mean, like for lack of a better question, there.
Yeah, so my route is a little bit different. I owned a couple semi-pro teams out here and just operated them in the way of being actual professional teams. In which it showed on the field and in our professionalism as a group. We weren't out there fighting or doing anything like that. And then I've held, management positions, controlling large groups of people in the military and in, my other jobs that I've had. I've always been around football. I know kind of how the business side of it works, what it takes to make a organization run and actually, be beneficial to its players. And then of course coming in and having Coach Bones has been a huge help too, because he's helped a lot with the arena world and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been different and it's been difficult, but I found my way here, and then I like to think I'm doing pretty good at it. So
Proof's in the pudding, sir. Chris, do you have anything else for him?
Yeah, I think, this being involved with semi-pro football, a lot of those guys think they can play, at the pro level. How was that process kind of deciphering, you have a relationship with a guy, they think they can play at the pro level, but they really can't. How did you decipher that and kind of pick the best guys to come in and represent your team?
yeah, so there was a group of local guys that had played collegiately that had come and played for me, so I knew that they were good players. But ultimately, what I told Coach Bones from the very beginning is, hey man, this is your roster, this is your team. You're going to be coaching them, not me. So I want the guys here that you want here. I'm never going to force a player on him. I'm never going to bring somebody in on my own and make him play them. So really, my job was kind of easy in deciphering what players to bring because I got such a great head coach that he's won before everywhere he's gone. So I trust him to bring the guys in that he wants.
That's a very important balance, I feel, between a GM and a coach. Texas Pete has a question for you, and I wanted to throw this out to you. If you cannot answer that, that's perfectly okay. But he says, are you at liberty to discuss the ownership structure of the Hot Spring Wise guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of public knowledge that we're still owned by the league. We do have a group that is coming in very soon that is going to take over ownership that is here locally. But yeah, right now we're still owned by the league. They've been owning, operating everything. Everything's been smooth, but we do have a group locally that will be coming in and taking over everything.
Interesting. Can you tease anything as far as who that group is, or is that privileged information?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, but just after speaking with them, they don't want it out just yet. But they're very excited. They're a very passionate group of fans. I call them fans. They've been to every game. They have a box. They've loved every game. So they're very passionate about what we're doing here, what we're trying to build. They're passionate about the players, and they care about the organization. And that's something that is very big to us as an ownership group that cares. Not only has the means to take care of us, but cares about taking care of us.
That's the most important part for sure. Talk to me a little bit about your experiences in the way that TAL operates. So obviously, for fans that are not aware, the TAL starts the teams and buoys them for a while and then finds ownership groups. How is it operating in that manner as a GM? I mean, essentially right now you're answering to the league itself, correct?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different, and then of course nobody envisioned, and difficult may be the wrong word to use, but nobody envisioned it would be this difficult to find local ownership. Arkansas is just a little bit weird, and the fact that we want to see what it is before we just go buy it and go spend all the money on it to own and operate it. But it very quickly people realized what we have here in Hot Springs. We're filling the arena up every game, headed to the championship. We've got players that love the community. So it was a little bit difficult in the aspect of, having to work directly with the league on everything we do. Of course, there are no corners we can cut. There is nothing that we can kind of slip by and do because we're owned and operated by the league. But um, yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit different, a little bit weird. We can't always do exactly what we want to do, but everything's worked out fine. I have no complaints for the league. The Arena League has been great to me. It's been great to our team. Every league has its hiccups, but I think everything's been great.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. Chris, you got anything else?
Yeah, for a first-year franchise, I mean, your attendance, I just got to touch on that, man. It's been incredible. What's your marketing strategy kind of, to get out in the community and get your name out there?
Yeah, so my director of ticket sales, Zach Edwards, does a great job at contacting groups. He's always working the phones, talking to every little league team there is, talking to every church choir. I mean, he's talking to everybody. And then, of course, in Hot Springs, we have 6 high schools, and then there's like 10 that are within an hour. So we reached out to all of them, wanted to get their football teams out to games, wanted to get the teachers out to games. And then one of my biggest strategies, I guess, if you call it, is we gotta get the people to see what the product is. So we are not ashamed to give away free tickets, to get people out there just to watch a game, see what the product is, come out and meet our players and stuff like that. Because usually, after the first 2 games of giving away free tickets, those people then bought season tickets just to lock in where they were sitting. And we make that money back right there, just speaking on a business term. But my biggest thing is these players deserve support. This organization deserves support. And if we got to give away some tickets so that happens and people are entertained and happy, then we'll do that.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the branding. I am a gigantic fan of the Wise Guy branding. I think it's brilliant. And then to take that one step further, I've talked about it several times. I don't know if this was planned or if it just happened to work this way, but Bones Bagunte, his name is like the epitome of perfect coaching names for the Hot Springs Wise Guys. But can you elaborate on where the branding came from, like how that got established? Because it is just so unique that I really got to know, like, who established this thought.
Yeah, so each team, each community that a team has holds a name the team contest. So they go through and they get different variations of names that people submit. Ultimately, they came down to the Wise Guys with the horse mascot and stuff like that. Which really the Wise Guys and Mafia theme ties back to the history of Hot Springs. Way back in the day, 1920s era, Hot Springs was booming. I mean, it was Las Vegas before Las Vegas was a thing. So Al Capone, all those guys used to hang out in Hot Springs, and would be down there for their summer vacations and stuff like that. And then, of course, the horse is the nod to Oaklawn for the horse racing history and everything else we have there.
Absolutely, just mentioned by Mike Davis here. We got a couple questions in the chat for you. Did you guys really have a parade put on for the team yesterday?
No, so the parade and kind of our block party is scheduled for Tuesday. It was not last night. And it's really just kind of a celebration. For one, Hot Springs is kind of a tourist party town. So any chance we get to go out there and have fun and get these guys, again, back in the community, meeting the people that support them, we will. Of course, we hope it's a championship celebration and not just kind of like, a loser of the Super Bowl champion or a loser of the Super Bowl celebration. But, we want the guys to go out there, have fun. Many of them, it might be their last week in Hot Springs, but no, that is scheduled for Tuesday, and it's just a celebration of the guys and the season we've had.
Awesome. Got another great question here that you actually kind of just touched on a moment ago. With the National Park in Hot Springs, have you seen an impact on attendance from tourism?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact analytics from it, but it doesn't hurt. I mean, if you ever visit Hot Springs, you can go downtown on like a Tuesday at 2 p.m. and it's packed. I mean, people are walking up and down the street. I know for a fact we had plenty of people that were walking by the arena on game day, and we're just like, what's this? I got to get tickets and see what's going on. So the tourism aspect of Hot Springs definitely played a huge part in why attendance was so great.
Mike Davis says Rebel Days, baby, and he says you'll know what he's talking about.
I've drawn a blank on it. He'll probably have to message me, but right here on the spot, I think I might. I probably will know if he reminds me, but
That's awesome. That's awesome. Chris, do you have any other questions for Mr. Goodman?
No, I'm just I'm a huge fan of what y'all are building. You know, I'm excited to take the trip out to Hot Springs next year with my guy Bones when he's our head coach. But no, I guess my last question for you, the sponsorships, right? You know, sponsors are hard to get. You guys have a lot of them. When you price your sponsors, kind of again, what strategies do you use to determine a sponsor price? Is that something you set as an organization or the league kind of sets?
Yeah, so really when we go into these meetings, the league, I will say, put out a great kind of blueprint on what to do. We really don't go into a sponsorship meeting with a set price. We have, I say we don't have set prices. We have stuff that we have to hit on certain things, obviously the field logos and stuff like that. But really, we want to give back to the community and the community give back to us. So we kind of work with them on their pricing, what they want to do, what they're able to afford and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's about taking care of the team and it's about supporting our partners that support us. So when we approach them, it's with an open mind and, hey, if you can't afford this for the field level logo, you can do this and get almost just the same amount of advertising.
Great question, Krish. Basically I'm kind of out of questions, but, given the fact that we're talking about sponsorships, if you don't mind, I'd be curious to hear kind of your elevator pitch on why somebody with a business would like to sponsor, the Hot Springs Wise Guys. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but maybe you get lucky and somebody sees this and contacts you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the business of helping people succeed on and off the field. And, if you want to be a partner that enjoys having a fun Saturday night while also supporting directly the future of some professional athletes and maybe getting to one day, point at a picture and say that guy's in the NFL now, I think that's well worth it.
Hey, that's short and sweet. I love it. And honestly, hit all the great points there. Mike Davis says the Rebel at Oakland.
I think I know what he's talking about. I think so.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Chris, we really appreciate your time today. Looking forward to the game tonight. I'm sure it's going to be a great game, regardless of who ends up winning. Duluth is a very, very talented team, but honestly, it's been encouraging to see how you guys have come in and competed right away. It just shows the parity in the league and really why fans should support. This is now 2 years in a row where teams have kind of surprised some people to, get to the championship. Texas Pete says, and please give us an elevator pitch on a fan putting down 500 as a super fan. That's an interesting aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's something that we offer. I mean, obviously I would. We're wanting to create kind of an elevated fan experience in our end zone where our ops team currently is. We just have a whole lot of open rooms, so maybe 500 gets you down there, gets you right up close to the action like you want to be. Maybe some fan gear, something like that. I haven't really thought about something like that for a super fan, but if people are interested in it, then obviously I'm gonna get the people in the stadium.
There we go. So if you're interested in becoming a super fan, contact Chris Goodman. He might have a package built out for you. I like it. Well, thank you once again, Mr. Goodman. We really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing the game tonight, like I said, and the rest of your career and see where you end up, because it seems like it's off to a very promising start so far.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And, shout out to Duluth as well. They got a great head coach, Steve Walters. Their GM is great. So it's two good organizations going at it tonight. Only one can win, but it should be a great game.
Absolutely. And also, I don't know if you can assist us with this, but we would love to get Bones on here sometime. And maybe right after a championship win. That would be great.
Yeah, I'll talk to him and see what I can get figured out for you guys.
That'd be great. I've kind of exchanged some messages with him, but I haven't pushed it too much. But a little outside pressure couldn't hurt, right?
Right.
But definitely appreciate your time today. Have a great rest of your day. Best of luck tonight, and we look forward to speaking to you in the future, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your day. All right, so we're going to transition over. We've got a lot of expansion stuff to talk about with the National Arena League, the AF1, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to hit a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, and Krish and I will break down some of the expansion news that's been floating around out there. Some of it's, kind of been talked about already. Some of it might come as a surprise, so you might want to stick around.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school.
Oh, wow.
This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I used to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
I am so sorry, Krish. I did not realize you were.
No. You're good. You're good.
So go for it. What were you saying?
No, I was gonna say we'll get to it later, but just our TAL championship preview, pick. I'm excited to see who you got kind of winning the whole thing.
As far as the TAL,
yeah, tonight.
I'm on Team Wise Guys. Actually, as of right now, I am rolling with them as of right now. It's nothing against Coach O'Neill or anything like that. I just feel like they're a hot team, and typically I like to roll with the hot hand heading into a championship. Honestly, though, I will throw this out there. It would not shock me at all to see Duluth win this game. Wouldn't shock me at all to see Hot Springs win this game. And honestly, that's the best thing you can possibly say about a championship game. Both of these teams are worthy of being there. Both of them are very talented, and it's going to be a really good game tonight. So if you have not caught a TAL game all season long, I promise you this is the game you want to catch. It's going to be a great one. But who's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, you know who I'm rooting for, man. I got to root for my boy, Bones, man. I want to see Bones win another championship so badly. He's a dog. But I got to be realistic and analyze this game for what it is. Jordan Ambrose is extremely turnover prone. 13 turnovers in the course of 9 games. Obviously, I think that Duluth pass rush is not going to give him space to run like they did the first time, right? They played. That DB room has gotten better too. So he's going to have to see the field. And if Javante with that receiving core, the receiving core they have now, with Kutavious Workman added, Marcus Sess, number 9. I encourage every AF1 IFL team to take a look at Marcus Sess. He's next up. I mean, he's a monster truck. Darius Morrison, right? He's going to get some carries tonight. So, I mean, I think Duluth is going to win this game, unfortunately, by 2 points. But I really hope Hot Springs and my boy Bones can pull it out. But I think Duluth will win this game tonight.
It's definitely going to be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it. Realistically, we've been treated to some really good games in the playoffs for every league so far. So honestly, very excited to see the game tonight. I will definitely be watching. And it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a good one. So definitely, if you have not done so yet, make sure you tune in tonight. I believe it'll be on the YouTube channel, completely free to watch. So definitely tune in tonight and catch that TAL game because you will not regret it. Do you want to do your betting picks and then get into expansion?
I'll save my betting picks for last because, I'm bright this week. So I need a little more time to think about it.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, to get into the expansion news that we kind of teased a little bit, there are rumors floating out around from some pretty reliable sources that the NAL will be announcing several more teams over the next month to about a month and a half, I would guess. The locations are kind of what catch my eye, and actually one of them we wrote about here on Shady Sports Network not too long ago. But there's a lot of news coming out of the NAL. So let's start with the fact that there are rumors that there are not one, but two teams coming in Texas. I cannot elaborate on the exact cities currently, but it sounds like there are going to be two Texas teams joining the league for the 2026 season. We have heard rumors that the Vegas Kings are also potentially joining the league. It sounds like they've got almost everything set up on that front, and there's a good chance that they will be added to the NAL for the 2026 season. So that's going to be very interesting as well. There's also a couple other rumored teams that could be coming out of the woodwork as well. So, I mean, we're still going to be monitoring the situation and kind of keeping track of what's going on. But then there's also the news that just came out a couple days ago, and it was a statement on their page, which I will pull up here in just a second, from the Idaho Horsemen. Krish, what were your thoughts when you saw this statement by the Idaho Horsemen?
I mean, I'm not surprised. You know, I mean, they average like 50 to 100 people a game. For me, I think, you know, he's honestly an embarrassment to professional coaching. He's an embarrassment to the profession. So he can move the team out of the country and they'll still suck. So, I mean, I hope he just focuses on ownership and doesn't focus on coaching. He doesn't know how to build a roster. He doesn't know how to organize. He's very disorganized. I hear rumors of 5 guys, you know, showing up to practice, all these different things this guy has going on. So he won't ever be a successful professional head coach. So I mean, they can move anywhere. I don't even know where they'll move, honestly. I wasn't surprised. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of money he's losing running that team, the amount of fans they get. You know, we get a lot of crap for our attendance. I mean, look at Idaho's attendance, man. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. And the dates, I mean, Thursday night, some of the dates that arena gives him is horrible. So, yeah, I don't think they'll play next year at all anyway.
Mike Davis says 0 chance with the Kings, no money. I'm just floating out there what I've, you know, the rumors that are going around. You know, can't shoot the messenger. There's something like a saying, don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, this is one of those situations. Don't hate the messenger, I hate the message. So I'm going to pull up the statement from the Idaho Horsemen because I feel like it's important to read. Also, Krish, I think your statements are a little strong. I know that you have been very vocal about Chris Reynolds in the past, and I understand without a doubt, you know, he doesn't have the greatest coaching record since moving up to the NAL, but I think saying that he's an embarrassment is extremely strongly worded, and it's something that I don't feel is giving him the respect he deserves for what he's been able to accomplish there in Idaho. You know, let's keep in mind just a couple of years ago, this guy was running an entire football league, funding a couple teams out of his pocket. So I get that, yes, he does not have the greatest track record, you know, since joining the NAL. And, you know, you can argue that even before that, he had some rough situations. But at the same time, you know, we need to respect the guys that are making indoor football happen, because it's not cheap, it's not easy, and it's definitely not an easy situation when you're the owner, the coach, the GM. You know, basically wearing.
It's not easy. But where I come from, man, like, you do something, you go all in, or you don't do it at all. So he made a choice to go in it. I respect him. That's why I said you should focus on the business side. But he's never going to be a good head coach in this league, ever.
And that's a fair opinion, but I feel like it was very strongly worded, is all I'm saying. I mean, calling a guy an embarrassment, you know, when he's doing all these different things and wearing all these different hats, I think is a bit much. But I'm going to read the statement from Idaho real quick. First and foremost, Angelina and I thank you. Your unwavering support has meant everything to us from our inaugural season in 2019, 2 AWFC championships, 3 championships appearances, to the battles we fought together every year since. Many of you have been with us since day one, and we've built something truly special together. The Idaho Horsemen wouldn't be what it is today without your loyalty, passion, and belief in us. It is with a heavy heart that I share some difficult news. After much thought and consideration, we have made the tough decision not to return to the Ford Idaho Center for the 2026 season. This journey has been incredible, but it hasn't come without challenges. Year after year, we've worked tirelessly to keep this team alive despite increasing facility costs and wavering attendance. We've done everything we can to grow the sport here in Idaho, but without consistent media support and not obtaining the attendance number needed to sustain operations, it's become harder to keep the team moving forward in this market. It's become clear that continuing in Idaho may no longer be sustainable. We believe in a fresh start and a new location could provide the opportunity and energy needed to keep the Horseman legacy alive and thriving. This has been one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. I'm not someone who gives up easily, whether it's a tough season or a tough game, but I truly believe this move may be what's best for the future of this team. Thank you for everything, Idaho. You've helped build this team from the ground up, and we will be forever grateful for that. With 6 seasons, 2 championships, 3 appearances, and a move to a national league off of a grassroots effort, we've built something awesome. Our mission remains the same, to build champions on and off the field, and we hope to continue doing that in a new community while always honoring where we started. Stay tuned for more information coming soon. So, Krish, you said it just a moment ago. You do not think they will be playing in 2026. I know you've heard the rumors. I've heard the rumors. There are thoughts that they could potentially move to Arizona, and they could try and relaunch the team in Arizona. There's been rumors about that. So it definitely does leave that very open-ended. It does sound like he's going to be moving the team to a new location, and maybe it's not in 2026 that it comes back. You know, maybe it takes a year to establish it in a new location, but definitely think that it's an interesting situation to follow nonetheless. As of right now, I think that brings the NAL down to, if I remember correctly, 8 teams. But I think that might be counting Columbus and Wheeling at the moment, and which we know for sure have opted out of the league as of this moment. So there is always the opportunity for them to return. I want to preface that by saying, but there is thought that they may not be back due to the travel constraints. So that is another thing going on currently with the National Arena League. So lots to follow there. We got some questions in the chat we will get to here shortly. Wookie Drive says, Idaho was a good regional playing partner, style of team. I think stretching for the NAL was just a bit too much for him. I'm not going to lie to you, you know, and when it comes to costs and travel, I mean, you look at Idaho and you look at the rest of the NAL, and that's not an easy trip. That's not a cheap trip. And that's been a lot of his cost over the past couple of years, I assume. So, I mean, when it comes to this situation happening, is it entirely a surprise? No, not necessarily. But at the same time, I don't necessarily know that he had a path to continue in any other way. You know, I think National Arena League was probably his best opportunity at the time. Ricky Bird says, Chris Reynolds, like myself, is not a perfect person, but to say that Chris is an embarrassment is completely false. He is one of the best partners any league could ask for. He pays his bills, pays his players, and so much more that many teams do not do. Fair points from Ricky. He would know a lot better than we would. Make sure you're hitting that like button. We've had a lot of great content here so far today, and we're not quite done yet. So definitely make sure you are sticking with us. Krish, what are your thoughts? I mean, so let's look at it. So we've got Omaha, Sioux City, the 2 Colorado teams, Shreveport. Who am I missing? Amarillo.
Amarillo, yeah.
So if there's 2 more Texas teams coming, there could potentially be 3 teams in the state of Texas. You got 2 teams in the state of Colorado. You've got Omaha and Sioux City, which may as well be in the same city, or I mean the same state. I mean, they're literally that close together. Then you've got Shreveport, which is a little bit of an outlier. And then if you add Vegas and you add a potential Arizona team, suddenly this league looks like the easiest or one of the easiest travel leagues of any out there right now. I mean, what are your thoughts on the overall big picture of that situation right there?
I mean, I've always been of the opinion of, I think it's great to add teams, but we always need to make sure until they play down in football, right? We can't really form an opinion on them in terms of an operation standpoint. So, I just think, you can add teams. I think it's great. I think the NAL has really shocked me. I'll admit I was wrong about the NAL. I didn't expect them to have this good of an offseason. Pueblo sounds super solid. Like you were saying, they have, over 20 partners, right?
23 that I counted, yep.
That's crazy. I mean, for a first-year team, not even in a month in to announcing the franchise officially. And then Amarillo, I mean, they're killing it down there too in terms of an operation side. So those are two solid teams. I don't see the need to go over 8. I'd rather 8 solid teams, 8 to 9. My thing is, I told someone this, like, if you can have a 16 playoff next year, then you did a good job with your league, right? It means it's headed in the right direction. So 2 rounds of playoffs. I don't see the need unless it's super solid. I don't think you need to add, a lot more teams. Unless, like, okay, if Dallas shows up with an arena, but we heard about troubles in Dallas with Frisco and how much money they lost. I can't imagine how much more expensive it is to operate in Dallas. And then what Coach Davis is saying about the Vegas Kings, I'll probably need to look more into that. But I mean, maybe that's the reason why they were at the AFL meetings last year and they ended up not joining. So that's a little bit of a concern for me as well. But I think the NAL is headed in the right direction. They stabilized. I think Ricky and Brandon Card are putting in a lot of work, and they want to make this a viable product. They don't want to be second. They don't want to be a doormat. They want to be a legit league, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some questions with some of these teams still, of course. I mean, Vegas is one of those teams that's been kicking around for multiple years, but they've never really had a home to play in, per Mike Davis's comment right here. You also have the fact that, they're one of those teams that they always seem on the verge, but they're never in the dance, if that makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull it off in 2026. But I also wanted to point out that there is a comment here that I wanted to get to. Texas Pete says home teams pay for the visiting team's travel in the NAL, so I doubt that is a factor for Idaho's budget. Real quick, Texas Pete, every one of their opponents is further away than any other NAL team. So if they're paying for visiting teams' travel or they're paying for their own travel, it does not matter. They've got one of the highest travel costs in the league regardless. There's no way around that outside of maybe Wheeling and Columbus, which also have some pretty challenging travel. Idaho has no regional playing partners, really. Their closest team was Colorado, and trust me when I say that is not an easy trip. So that is one of those situations where, yes, you're right, but at the same time, it's just, it's one of the biggest costs to any team. Ricky says, sorry to disappoint you, Krish, but we're going over the number of 8 in teams in the league. Interesting.
I'm like I said, if they're solid, they got the money, they can put a competitive product on the field. That's another thing too. I listened to Lisa's press conference that you went to with Pueblo, and I said that's someone that wants to win a championship year one. That's someone they're not coming to play around. With Amarillo, I think they're going to be terrible. Like I keep telling you, they're going to win 1 to 2 games next year in the NAL. They won't be good at all, but they'll be good on the operation side. And I know, Ricky will probably come in and say, oh, we have to wait until the games are played to see who's good or not. I can tell you who's going to be good and who's going to be trash. I know this game well enough. So I just hope every team, there's parity. That's all I want is parity. That's all I want.
Interesting. Ricky says I'm giving you a hard time, my man. So at the end of the day, all we want here is for these leagues to find success. At the end of the day, it's just we want stable teams. We want teams that can keep their promises, that can take care of their players, that can take care of their coaches, that can take care of their fans the right way. We've said it multiple times on the show already, and that's what our hope is for any team that comes out. It's the teams that want to play professional football but don't have the means to do it that are the ones that taint this sport so badly on a year in and year out basis. And if we can get away from some of these owners that are doing this on a repeated basis, I think that we will build a much stronger foundation as a sport, as an industry, for everybody. Mike Davis and I talk a lot off camera. One of the things that he says a lot, and I'm sorry, Coach Davis, for throwing your quote out here, but the negatives of the industry, no matter what league it is, affects every team, regardless of if you're in the IFL and a team folds and you're playing in the AF1, that affects you, and vice versa, because these are the stories that get out. The negatives, the worst parts of the sport are always the ones that get the most coverage. So the less and less that we have these bad moments in sports happen, the better picture it's going to look for casual fans out there. I mean, we saw it recently. Kevin Guy's comments, which we'll get to here shortly. Kevin Guy's comments blew up. Bleacher Report picked that up. I'm pretty sure TMZ was reporting on it. All these big mainstream outlets that never talk about arena football or indoor football picked those comments up because he was blasting the refs. And it's not something you typically hear from professional football coaches. So it was interesting to see. And it was one of those things that I think was received in a poor manner. But, that's me. Krish, let's go ahead and just jump right into those Kevin Guy comments. What were your thoughts on what he said? And I'll play them here in a minute when I can get them pulled up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's disappointing. You never want that for your league. Someone that, feels so entitled, right? I mean, Kevin Guy's an egotistical maniac. I think everyone knows this. It's pretty obvious. But he wins. He wins championships, so it's hard to argue with that. But it's not a good look. Especially when other, news outlets, like, I know everyone will say, oh, attention on the indoor game is a good thing, but not that, because that makes our sport look like a clown show. It really does. Saying that you're going to fire the officials, fly in reps. Last night, Vegas had our crew, right? They had our crew. They had our mass crew that we have, our officiating crew. They flew into Vegas. So I see, certain situations like that. And they did a good job last night for the most part. Coach Davis gave them a lot of crap, but our mass crew is one of the best in the league in terms of officiating. But I think, I don't know, man, like those are your home officials, you got to stand by them. They're going to make mistakes. A lot of them are local guys. They put in a lot of time and effort, like referees in the sport. Referees in the sport are not, treated properly, especially in the indoor game. I remember a couple years ago with J.R. Bond, in Sioux City, and that whole situation with him yelling at the officials and threatening them, right? That's not the kind of look you want any league. So, you just want to be professional about it. And I don't support what he said at all. I don't. And I was really disappointed that he felt the need to say that. And I lost a lot of respect for him and the organization. I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. So.
Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and play those comments by Kevin Guy. Again, this is from an outside source, so definitely make sure you're following Nick King Sports on Twitter. And here are those comments.
I mean, our operations was bullshit. I mean, clock guy, the replay guy, they're fired. They won't work with me again. I tell you that right now. I got to have that information so we can make decisions. The flag was thrown, okay, for a false start, and then they went and reviewed it and picked it up, okay. I mean, it was just the whole thing was a clusterfuck, okay, and it just seems like we always get screwed at home at the end. All right. Don't really give a shit if the league finds me or not. Don't care. I'm so tired of the referees being a part of the game. I'm so freaking tired. He threw a flag for false start. Then they go over there and pick it up. Okay. So, at the end of the day, the clock, we thought the clock ran out. I'll go watch the game, see the film, whatever. But I am so tired of these kind of games at our place. Okay. So, we'll get into the meetings in the off season, and we need to put the whole referee system under review. Okay. I'm just fed up with it. Okay. It just seems like all these games always happen here at our place. Okay. And, we scored a touchdown right before halftime. They call it back, saying hands to the face. Well, you know what? They had their hands all over us all night long. I bitched about it all year long, about these DBs wrapping our receivers up, pulling. They can't touch you after 5 yards. This is not college football. This is professional football. They cannot touch you after 5 yards. Okay. And they got their hands on it. We got college referees calling pro games. Okay. And that's the problem right now. They don't know the damn difference. I mean, the communication, it was a dog and pony show. I can tell you those guys, they won't be welcome back here, reffing here again. I can tell you that. I don't give a damn. We'll fly guys, 5 guys in from the East Coast every game. I don't care. That's them reffing in our, I am so tired of that crew, those same guys involved in it every freaking year. Okay, and then they tell me every year that Arizona crew is one of the best. That's a bunch of crap. Okay, that is a bunch of crap. So I'm tired of dealing with it. I haven't seen it because the damn replay people wouldn't play the damn thing in our building. Piss poor production, just what I said.
All right. It had a lot to say. Honestly, we don't typically see these type of outbursts from coaches. I know Kevin Guy is a little bit more prone to them than most coaches. Mike Davis has a great comment here that I think is very important. As a coach, the first thing we should do is look in the mirror. Guess some people's mirror are broken. Strongly agree.
You would know that because you look at his roster. It stayed really consistent throughout the season in Vegas. There are not very many roster changes. There are not many rosters in the league that have stayed as consistent as Vegas. I would bet that Vegas has probably made at least maybe their top 3 in least amount of transactions made in the entire league. So he's completely right. And he has, 1,000%.
Yeah, I would agree. There have been a lot of teams that turned over their rosters, and Vegas has made some key moves, but not a lot of moves. That's a great point, Krish. Here's another good point. Texas Pete says, like Krish said in so many words, there's always the human element in reffing. Short of doing what the UFL does with Dan Blandino and Mike Pereira, that element will always be there. That's not wrong either. There's always going to be the human element in sports. That's what makes sports amazing, right? At any given moment, you can see a big play because someone made a superhuman effort, or you could see a terrible play because someone made a bonehead mistake. That's the great thing about football. That's why we're all here. You just never know what's going to happen, even sometimes off the field, with this. But Off the Wall says Rattler fans have been going through it. Hate to see it. He's the self-proclaimed Arizona Rattlers antagonist right now on Twitter. So it's been kind of funny to follow along with his battles. Little spoiler alert, we've got a rivalries article coming up on indoor football rivalries that will be coming out on the website here soon. And there might be a mention of Off the Wall in there. He didn't even know that. So stay tuned for that. Definitely think that he's going to get a mention on the good old rivalries list. So it'll be fun to follow along with that. Chris Dodson said, what a playoff series in the IFL. Fun to watch and plenty of drama. Let's talk about last night's game. I mean, wow. First of all, I'm always a fan when I can watch football until 11:15 at night Mountain Time. I'm sure the East Coast people were not thrilled with the fact that the game ended at like 1 o'clock in the morning for them. But hey, on the bright side, sometimes us West Coast people and Midwest people need to get a little bit of benefits here and there. But last night was one of the greatest games I've watched in a long time. Ultimately, I turned the game on with in the third quarter, and basically it was nonstop action from there. The game ended in regulation, 68-68 on a last-second field goal by San Diego after Vegas had taken a late lead. unbelievable drive by San Diego to get the ball through the uprights there at the end. Ernesto Locayo, one of the best kickers in any indoor league, drives the ball through. They go into overtime. Vegas's defense had a hell of a stop. Coach Davis hangs his hat on the defense. He's a defensive coach. And that last play by Elijah Blades was probably one of the most beautiful coverage plays I've seen in a long time. Doesn't interfere with the receiver, dives around him at the last second, swats the ball down on 4th down, ends the drive for San Diego, gets the ball back for his offense. Vegas drives down and scores on a walk-off tush-push touchdown. Unbelievable game for the Indoor Football League. And if you have not watched that game, keep in mind all these games are available after the fact on IFL Network. You can go back and watch it right now. And I'm not normally a big fan of rewatching games, but that is one game I might watch 2 or 3 times because it was so damn good. But Krish, I've talked enough. What were your thoughts on that game last night?
Yeah, I think Jaden Delore, man, like he needs to be in the CFL, UFL. I mean, what he's done as a rookie is so impressive. I mean, just his patience in the pocket is something I've never seen before for a rookie. Like as a Pirates fan, man, I want him to win Rookie of the Year because he deserves it, man. He's a leader on the field. You just see his teammates gravitate towards him. He never gets too high, never gets too low. He's even kill. Like he's a vet, man. He's amazing. I think he can play at really high places. I don't think there are 96 quarterbacks in the NFL better than Jaden Delore. Honestly, I'll say that. Like he's really talented, and I watched him do it when he was at Arizona. And I think it's kind of cool that we get to see him return to where he played college football in Tucson next 2 weeks from now. So it'll be exciting. But I think if you look at the whole game, I mean, Shane Hooks is another guy, 4 touchdowns, over 100 yards, right? Someone who, just finished college football last year at Auburn. Really talented receiver. I love Shane Hooks. I've been a huge fan of his game. He had an opportunity in the CFL. Now he's playing the IFL. If he comes back next year, he's going to be one of the top receivers in the league. I think it was back and forth. It was a really good production. I mean, the crowd in Vegas, I even told Coach Davis, I said, man, the fact that you were able to sell out, like, what are we doing wrong? We must be doing something wrong marketing-wise. If they're able to get a sellout, a sellout, it's unbelievable. With that amount of time, like, huge shout out to that marketing department. Like, they really put in the work. For me, I think, one thing I have a big question about is Keyshawn Walker. I looked at Keyshawn Walker last night. I thought that was a CFL DB. He didn't look like a CFL DB to me. That whole DB core in San Diego played horrible last night. Horrible. They had guys going right past them, wide open, 10 yards of separation. I said, man, I went in the game. I said, Coach Miller is about to dial it up, right? He's going to dial it up. And he didn't dial anything up, man. So I just that whole defense, man, that was bad. I think Taylor Jennifer is one of the best up-and-coming coaches in this game. I think he did a really good job surrounding himself with veteran coaches this year. He put his ego aside, and I think going forward, that's going to be big. That's going to be big for him. The amount of knowledge he probably gained being around Coach Shackelford and, Coach Miller this year, that's going to help Taylor in the future. He's going to be a good head coach in this league for a long time. He's relatable. He has a big football IQ. I wonder what's next for Nate Davis. I wonder for return for Duke City. That's my question. Retirement, coaching. There's so many options for Nate. I wonder what route he goes. But it was a great game, man. Vegas' defense, they stepped up when they needed to. I gave them a lot of crap all year. It's good to see Lorenzo Hernandez, one of our former players, who we put food on his plate for a year. He finally is balling out. We gave him his first opportunity. He wouldn't be playing professional football if it wasn't for us. So I'm really glad. I'm happy for D. Will. It's always good when you can see your guys be successful. So I'm really excited for them. We have 3 former Pirates, and we actually have 2. We don't claim the third. We don't claim him as a member of the Pirates, but we have 2 former Pirates on Vegas. So it would be nice to see them get a ring. At the same time, though, I only want them to win when they're with us. So after they go, I don't want to say they're dead to me, but like they're not part of what we're doing anymore. So it's kind of, the only time they should feel success is when they're with us. Other than that,
I was gonna say, isn't your saying always, "I wish them the worst"?
yeah.
And here you are talking about how it's great. Well, I'm just gonna point out, you wished them the worst, and San Diego has like half the mass roster from 2025. So, and now they're out of the playoffs. So I guess as far as wishing them the worst, you got what you wanted there for San Diego, who was picking up all the Massachusetts scraps this year. Nate Davis equals a speed demon. I don't think anybody's ever described Nate Davis as a speed demon, but if you go back and watch my interview with Nate Davis a couple years ago, he actually told a story about how the NFL wanted him to move to running back, primarily because of his size. But man, can you imagine? He would have been out of the NFL or out of football in like a year or two. And here, there it is. Was waiting for a Pirates self pat on the back. Two former Pirates that you guys ran out of town. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Just like Krish.
No. One of them, we're not even going to go into it deeply, but one of them ran himself out of town. And you know which one it is. So don't even. And I saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah, we're not going to bash on anybody. They're in a new place, finding success in a new place. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, there's former Pirates all over the league. You can't really talk about indoor football without there being some sort of Pirate associated somewhere. And Krish will let you know which one they are. Don't worry. But we're going to get to our IFL bets for the Eastern Conference Championship game. Here is the betting odds. Looks like a pretty close game. I am surprised to see the point spread here, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. For anybody who is not aware, if you can't see that very well, these betting availability is on DraftKings Sportsbook. So if you want to bet on indoor football, make sure you go check out DraftKings Sportsbook. You can also bet on the CFL, the NFL, basically every other major league on top of that. So Krish, hit us with your best bets.
I'm in the red this week, so I need a bounce back. Give me Quad City money line. Quad City's winning this game at home. Home field advantage. DeQuan Neal is going to get to his first United Bowl and set up a revenge game for DeQuan Neal and Tamorian Terry. I know Tamorian Terry wants Vegas so bad in the championship game, so he's going to get an opportunity to play them. And I'm so happy for Scary Terry, man. I wish it worked out where you could have came and joined the right side this year, but maybe next year. He's a dog. But no, I think Quad City, their running game is amazing. I don't think Myler will be able to establish the pass like he did last week against that Quad City secondary, especially with them getting healthy the way they are. So give me Quad City to win. And then the over-under, I kind of want to stay away from this. I could see it going both ways. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts about the over-under. I'm going to under 93.5.
I don't know, man. 93.5. That's only 47 points a team. I'm going to go over. I'm going to take the over in this one. I think with Max Mailer and DeQuan Neal, there's going to be a lot of points scored. I know Quad City and Green Bay both have solid defenses, but I could definitely see a scenario where there's, we see another shootout like we saw last night. I mean, consider this. Vegas and San Diego last night scored a combined like 142 points, if I remember correctly. So 93.5 is not very high for an indoor football game.
Can I just say how impressive it is that Coach Davis is up this early in the morning? Think about it, 7:23 Las Vegas time, and he probably stayed up all night, just celebrating the win at Omnia nightclub in Vegas.
Is Vegas Pacific time?
I don't know what time y'all operate. I mean, I know we operate on demon time up here, but I don't know.
God, here we go.
You guys operate on that side of the world.
Yeah, well, demon time sucks. I like mountain time. You guys are always 2 hours earlier for everything. It's a lot. Yeah, so there's a couple other subjects for us to get to today. Ron James will be returning after a 2-14 season. I know you have some strong thoughts about this. So why don't you just go ahead and jump into it?
I'm actually happy. I'm happy Ron James is coming back. I like Coach James. He's actually like a really solid dude once you get to know him. He really cares about the guys. I do want to break some news that Ramona Atkins is returning as well. Ramona Atkins will be back with Northern Arizona. That was posted on the IFL transaction page, which that's huge. I hope they can figure out that whole school crap with him. You know, how he had to work. He was working in a school and he couldn't come the first 5 weeks. They better figure out that crap because he has to pick one job. If he wants to work in the school, let him do that full time. He shouldn't be able to walk in mid-season once they're 0-8. So that shouldn't be an option. So I hope they figure that out with him before they signed him to the deal. They also signed his brother, Ryan Atkins. He's a center at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. He was a great center when he played there. I liked watching him when he was in college. And then they signed Karan Bolden. Karan Bolden is the son of former legendary Chiefs player Edgerrin James. So it's really interesting to watch that. And he was great. He started his career with the Oklahoma City Flying Aces. I love Karan Bolden's game. He's so smooth. So I'm happy that he's back with Northern Arizona. So it's good they're building. One big piece I want to see if Deshaun Stoudemire comes back. Deshaun Stoudemire is one of the most consistent receivers in the league. Does he end up coming back to Northern Arizona, and does he go to another team? So a couple more questions, but I think Cy Burley should still be fired. I'm hoping that he gets fired. I'm not hoping, but I think he will get fired. And I could see Ron James taking over defensive play calling from Larry Hendricks. So that's what I look towards for next year. But I think Northern Arizona will have a better season next year. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll definitely win more than 2 games next year.
I'm definitely intrigued by what Northern Arizona does. I personally think if it were me, I'd run it back with the whole crew. The reason being is, first of all, Ron James is not primarily an arena football coach. You could say the same thing about Cy Burley. I think that he's also one of those guys that was kind of learning the ropes in the indoor style of play. You know, I know he's done a couple things indoors as far as coaching wise, but I think that as far as play calling, there's a little bit different ebbs and flows in the game. So I think that year 2 will look a little bit better for him as well. And I also think that while we might be sleeping on him now, he's going to be a guy that's eventually going to get some head coaching consideration if he continues. And I do think that he's going to find a rhythm this upcoming season. But would not surprise me to see Naz in the playoffs, but we're a long way from that. So we'll see how things go for the foreseeable future. But I also wanted to throw out there that D. Hafford made some comments before this last game that San Diego had only had basically 3 days of rest. They played on Sunday. They turned around and played on Friday night in Vegas on the road. That's a tough turnaround for any team. But I'm curious, how big of an effect do you think that really had on last night's game?
I'm going to sound like a real cupcake. But if that game is San Diego wins. That's how big home field advantage is. That crowd played a huge role last night down the stretch. Huge. But yeah, San Diego, man, I mean, I think this might be the end of the franchise. I think they might relocate. I mean, if they can't even get an arena for for the home playoff game, it says a lot. You know, either the arena doesn't make them a priority or ownership can't afford it. It's one or the other. So there's issues in San Diego that need to be addressed. But I mean, I'm right, Coach Davis, man. If it's in San Diego, I feel like they get that win. I feel home field is everything in the playoffs. But no, D. Hafford, man, he's always going to speak his mind. He's always going to. I told you this privately too. You need to take it publicly. But D. Hafford is Yeah, honestly, we need all the pointers. On the marketing side, I'm not even going to argue with you. We need all the pointers. But D Hafford is he's gonna speak his mind, man. He's a dog. I love D. And I'm happy that he spoke up and said how he feels. I mean, 4 days of rest is insane. But it's honestly what you sign up for as a pro. Vegas did it before. Vegas played on a Monday and Friday, right? They played 2 tough teams back to back. I think I could be wrong, but I think they played on a Monday night against I want to say they played Bay Area on a Monday night and they played on a Friday night against, I forgot who, but it was back to back. I'm not even going to respond to that. But it's hard. But, they battled and they deserve so much credit. They deserve so much credit for how hard they battled last night. Coach Davis said Jason Gibson should win Coach of the Year. So I want to get your Coach of the Year before we move on of the IFL. Who do you got winning Coach of the Year and MVP next year?
As in this season?
Yes.
Man, that's a great question. I think it has to go to either Quad City or Vegas for Coach of the Year. And I'm not saying that because Mike Davis in the comments. You look at what Vegas has done. They're transitioning away from the league MVP in 2025 or 4 to a rookie quarterback in 2026, and they're doing so well that they're in the championship game right now. I think that 2 quarterback system they've kind of incorporated over the last few weeks was a stroke of genius. And I know obviously some of that is due to hurt his chin as well, but part of being a good head coach is knowing when to delegate duties and knowing the right coaches to bring in around you. So I think there should definitely be some consideration for head coach of the year and assistant coach of the year in Vegas and Quad City, because I think they've both done a great job. Quad City surprised the hell out of me this year. I knew they were going to be competitive. I did not know they were going to be in the championship or in the conference championship at least. So great season by them as well. You could make a case for Green Bay as well, and San Diego for that matter. San Diego has done a lot better than I thought they would. A lot of that's come from picking up veteran players a lot throughout the season. But again, when the coach is the main player personnel guy as far as that goes, then I think you have to give him some credit for being able to make the right moves to get his team into the conference championship game as well. So a lot of great candidates for the coach of the year. As far as MVP, there's a lot of different players that could warrant consideration in that role. And honestly, I just don't think I have a really good grasp on who deserves the award to really give you guys my prediction. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if they, handed it to somebody like TJ Edwards, even though he got hurt and he missed a lot of games. I think that'd be a good way to kind of give him credit for the season he had prior to the injury. And I know, Chris, you just kind of got taken aback. Don't worry. I get it. I'm slighting all the mass players that don't deserve it.
No, you were the same one that said Jalen Warren should win MVP over Sam Castanova. So we'll just leave that.
No, I didn't. What?
I'll pull up the clip.
Yeah, feel free, because I never once said that. You are making things up, my friend. But go ahead, find the receipts if they exist, which they do not. But Sam Castronova was 100% the AF1 MVP, and I'm pretty sure everybody knew that was coming after the season he had. But okay. Anyway, Coach Genuizer is getting some love here in the comments. Anything else that you want to talk about before we get out of here for the day? Oh, actually, there was a question a little bit earlier that I wanted to answer.
My MVP is Max Miler, and my Coach of the Year, Coach Davis, gives Coach Gibson way too much credit. Way too much credit. But my Coach of the Year, I would agree. I think it's between Coach Davis and Coach Ross. I got to give it to Coach Davis, man. Rookie quarterback. I think it's really impressive, but I could see it going either way. I think if you think who should win it, like who's most deserving of it, it's Coach Ross, Corey Ross, what he's able to do year in and year out, and how dominant they were this year. but I think Coach Davis will end up winning it, and I would be happy with that. But Hurdy Chin should be a head coach next year if he wants to, and hopefully he's wearing blue and he's our head coach next year because we'll win a championship with Hurdy Chin.
Good luck. Ryan says 2 legends right here. He must mean Coach Davis and Texas Pete in the chat, or Wookie Drives, also another legend there. Never touched on AF1 expansion. There's not a lot of news currently. Basically, as far as adding teams. So we could discuss some of the teams that are rumored to be leaving. But I think we've kind of discussed those quite a bit. Sorry about that. The one big piece of news that we could throw out there right now is the statement by Beaumont. Beaumont recently made a statement that they will be making a move in 2026 to a new league. They will not be returning to the National Arena League, which we kind of already knew. Obviously the door was still open if the league wanted them back, but they decided to go a different direction. As far as that goes, if you look at the statement Beaumont made, there was a lot of emphasis on the word arena. So I personally believe they're hinting at the AF1. Krish, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it better be AF1, honestly, because if it's not AF1, it's a huge clusterfuck on them. It's a badass look. The fact that they left the NAL, the way they left the NAL was so unprofessional. To announce it at a championship press conference, they made it about themselves when it should have been about the players and the ring and the championship and the league that they were currently in. That was like I said, the way they left the NAL was a clusterfuck. Sam Gordon should know that. It was embarrassing. Sam Gordon has since stepped down from his role, which is super surprising to me. But I don't know, man. I think they're joining the AF1. I think the AF1 is, I hate to use the word desperate, but the AF1 is kind of desperate for teams at this point. So they're definitely joining the AF1.
I don't want to say desperate's the right word, but I definitely think that they feel that they're falling behind in the race right now, which, if all the rumors are to be believed, there's a good chance they are falling a little bit behind in the race. But Texas Pete, shoot me a DM. We will definitely discuss that. I would love to talk to you about that. I think that would be great coverage. We could definitely chat about that. So as far as that goes, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. If it's not the AF1, it's obviously not the indoor football league because they emphasized arena. And if that was your goal was the IFL and you're falling short of that, I think the only option is the AF1, because if you don't come back to the NAL and you're not going to the AF1, there's really no other league you can consider a step up. So that's a bad look for the team. There was some rumors that they were going to be going to the AAL. That just never made sense from the very beginning. And that's why I'm leaning so hard to the AF1. That at least we could see them potentially make that move and it making sense. That's more of a national league than the AAL was intending to be, to my knowledge. So that's going to be something to follow along with as well. But a couple more things thrown out here. Ryan says, send me the link for a Shady Sports tee. I'll cop something this week. Really appreciate that, buddy. Definitely will send you the link. For anybody who's not aware, we have a partnership with Branding Blanks. So you check out brandingblanks.com. You'll find the merchandise section. There will be a specific page just for Shady Sports merchandise.
Hey, Ryan, you know me, man. I got my Gucci pajamas on. I'm locked and loaded every day. Am I coming to the championship? I've looked at it. I'm going to see if, Jawad, Big Bro, is going to be there. You can say hi to him for me, but I'll look into it. I definitely will look into it, I definitely could learn a lot. I won't lie to you. I would love to, just be a fly on the wall and kind of see how y'all run things down to Tucson, and it'll be a good showing for sure.
Definitely let me know if you're going to go. We can make that happen. Also, we're working on a little giveaway coming up here, so definitely want to stay tuned. I definitely think that this is going to be one that's going to be intriguing for fans. Hopefully, we can get that announced as soon as possible. When it comes to the giveaway, I think fans are going to like it quite a bit. So just keep an eye out. We'll be posting that as soon as we get all the details situated. What would be the reasoning behind Beaumont not going TAL? Look at the travel for the TAL, and I think that will answer everything you want to know there. It's pretty simple travel, all based off one highway over there, and I think that's something that would make a lot of sense. Mike Davis says, show live on Saturday morning before the game from Tucson. Hey, only if you're going to come on and do a quick interview with us. He says tons of coaches, etc. I don't know.
I want Coach and Jaden Delora to come on one of these days. Talk about just
I'm pretty sure we could arrange that, even with it being so early. I'm sure Coach Davis would love to come on and talk about the championship. Hopefully, right after he gets a ring, he says he's down. So we'll definitely try and line that up with you guys. Any other thoughts that you wanted to touch on for today? I think we've pretty much hit everything. Ryan does ask, y'all think the Wise Guys can put up a good fight against Duluth?
What I said, man, Jordan Ambrose, he's going to have to be able to stand in the pocket and make throws, and that concerns me. That Duluth is going to be sending all the pressure. And so I think they definitely can. I think Hot Springs had Hot Springs has one of the best defenses in the league. I like Hot Springs defense a lot. I love Rishon Palmer, DeWanda Crockett. Those guys are so fast to the ball. So they definitely can. They 1,000% can put up a fight. Like I said, I hope Hot Springs pulls it out. I just don't see it. It's been too much.
He says no players, but he's up.
Yeah, the players are probably still out at a marquee day club.
Just all-nighter. It's 8:42 a.m. the next day. They're still partying.
The marquee opens up at 9 a.m., so I know people down there. No, I guess my final question for you is, the AF1. When you look at the AF1 going into next year, how many teams? We haven't heard anything about the Cincinnati team, except Walker's going to be the head coach. We haven't heard anything about the Michigan team. At what point do you start to get a little worried?
It's only August, right? So I think as long as we get an announcement before like the end of September, I think we're probably okay. As far as that, I don't think that it's a really big concern yet. I would like to know more about the whole situation. I think we know quite a bit about the Cincinnati situation. Really, all we're waiting on there is an arena announcement, basically. So as far as that goes, I think it's a situation where we'll get information very soon. I think it's going to be probably in the next 3 weeks-ish. And I definitely think we're going to be getting a lot more NAL news, which directly affects the AF1. Hint. So there's going to be some of that stuff going on there. So there's going to be a lot of news coming out over the next month. In fact, I think we're in store for some of the most wild couple weeks that we're going to see this entire year. And Mike Davis says the arena announcement will be interesting. Most have been burned. Yeah, there's a lot of question marks. Not going to lie. Obviously, same thing with Michigan. You got Kalamazoo as a potential landing spot. That's a lot of people have mentioned. You've got Detroit, being tossed around as well. Where do they end up? That's going to be a big question for us until we get the official announcement. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly where these teams are playing. And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know about how you feel, Krish, but hearing these bigger markets, Detroit, Cincinnati, I'd be lying if I don't have a little bit of AFL PTSD kicking in, right? And kind of a little bit concerned, even though I have a lot more confidence in the group that's running the AF1 than I did in the AFL. I think we're probably in a better situation now, but my spider senses are tingling for sure a little bit. So I'm kind of wondering, how this direction goes. But what are your thoughts on it?
I couldn't have said it better, honestly. I'm of the thought like you shouldn't announce teams if you don't have an arena, if you don't have, you know, an arena, an ownership group. If you don't have any of that, you shouldn't announce teams. And so if Cincinnati or Michigan don't work out, it'll be a huge black eye on the league. Huge. But my final question for you for the day before we wrap up, I gotta ask you, man, like, what do you think about my Pirates? Do you think we're moving to Orlando? Do you think that rumor is true? And like, I need to get your opinion, man. You're an expert. So what do you think?
I'm an expert? Woo! I don't even know how to handle that comment from Krish. Let me revel in that for a moment. Okay, that's all I needed. But anyway, I think that there's a realistic possibility for that. And I think, you have to look at the logistics of that as to why it would make sense for Jawad. Obviously, over his time in Massachusetts, I don't want to say this is a bad thing. Jawad has shown that he is not scared to spend money for his team, right? He's gonna do whatever he needs to do to make it work. So in this particular case, it may be like, quote unquote, the nuclear option, relocating the team to a whole new state. But in doing so, you lessen your travel by a dramatic amount to your one Eastern regional playing partner right now with Jacksonville. So if you move to Orlando, all of a sudden, not only do you continue that Sharks rivalry, but you do so in a manner that's going to be a lot cheaper and easier to operate. Now, obviously, that cost might be offset by the cost of your arena, and that's a big question if you move down to Orlando, because we already know that the Kia Center, I believe that it was, that the Predators were using was astronomical when it came to the cost of rental. So, I mean, it really has to be a situation where it makes sense for the team, right? If what you're standing to gain is not enough to outweigh the negatives of that move, I think you have to stay in Massachusetts and continue to build on what you've done so far. You've built up all this goodwill for 5 or 6 years now. There has to be an answer somewhere in Massachusetts if Orlando can't offer you a logistical situation that makes sense for the brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, look, I'm biased, but Coach Davis hit it on the nail. I'm not going to speak on the coach side of things. I'm going to let him handle the football personnel. I trust every decision he makes. But, I mean, yeah, like, honestly, like, you hire me, man, I'll be cold emailing the fuck out of everyone. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you got to do. You got to put butts on seats. And the problem is, like, I hate to, say this, but a lot of these college kids, man, these interns, they're so lazy. You bring them in and they just want to put it on their resume. We need guys and gals who are willing to, put the foot on the gas, man. We were averaging 6,500 people a game our first year, and it just declined since then. I don't think moving to Orlando is the option. There's people in Low. I can tell multiple stories that I won't share on air, but there's people in Low dying to support this team, dying to do whatever it takes to keep it alive here and make it successful. Our last game, we had 3,000 people. So if we can build on that, I think we can build here. I don't see the reason. I think they'll run out of time moving to Orlando. If it is true, I think he will run out of time and have to move it back here somewhere, whether it's coming back to our arena now or relocating to Providence, Rhode Island, or Hartford, Connecticut would be my two other options. But I don't think Orlando's happening at all, to be honest.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it'll be another storyline to follow this offseason, right? We've kind of been hearing this Massachusetts to Florida rumors for a long time. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it happens. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it doesn't happen. It seems like it's a topic almost every year. Wookie, just so you're aware, I do know that Kia Center is not the only arena in Orlando. And honestly, I couldn't tell you the others right off the top of my head. That's why I'm saying that they need to find a logistical situation that makes sense for the team. If you're going to go down there and you're going to pay that kind of cost, to go play in the Kia Center, then obviously logistically that doesn't make sense because you're not really going to gain anything. We've already been shown that the Orlando fan base isn't going to support enough to warrant that arena. Not saying that there's an opportunity for them to find arenas elsewhere, but the taxes and workman comp is also a lot lower in Florida than Massachusetts. That's a huge factor. That is not a small thing to consider by any stretch. So that could be a big deciding factor why we see him in Florida. But It'll be interesting. It's like I said.
Like I said, I hope they stay, man. I love this team. You know, UCF, the only thing is the arena. I heard something about the ceiling. I don't know if that's true or not, but that might be, you know, that could be an option, honestly. But no, I mean, I hope they stay. Like Coach Davis said, the marketing is everything. You got to market your product. It can work out here. This is our best thing. This is the best football team outside the Patriots we have in the region, and without a doubt. I mean, high school and college football up here sucks. I'm just being honest. So, I mean, this is literally the best football we have out here. So it's good for the region if we can stay here. But it's all about the money at the end of the day. So I'll support regardless. But I hope they stay.
You're right. It is all about the money. Williams, I don't know that this is accurate, buddy. Like, I would love to sit here and say that at some point we'll get back to what the 2000s did for us. But I think it's few and far between the cities that will actually come out and support like that anymore. I would love to sit here and, you know, paint everything with a rose-colored, you know, hue. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we live in a society where people are very distracted, right? You know, we've seen the exact benefits of shortening content on this channel dramatically recently, right? And that tells us everything we need to know. We have a show here, right here around the indoor football world that typically lasts about as long as an indoor football game, you know, 2.5 to 3 hours, right? And I say that, you know, kind of jokingly, but at the same time, you know, we see our audience grow and shrink throughout the episode so many times that kind of shows, you know, how short of attention spans people have at this point. So, you know, there's a lot of fans out there these days that would rather watch a game from home than go see it. You know, why pay the money when you pay $30 for the whole season, watch the IFL, you know, from home, and you're in the comfort of your living room. You can go, you know,
and that's the disappointing part.
Stuff, so.
And I will say it's disappointing because, you know, you see people online, you know, shitting on our attendance, and they're right? We don't draw enough fans, but it makes it look like it's a bad market. You know, Coach Davis had never been in these streets up here, right? He never seen it. And for me, like, this is a great market. Lowell is an amazing. Worcester's oversaturated with sports. You know, it is. We have a AAA baseball team down here. They draw about 9,000 fans a night, right? And that's, like, insane for AAA baseball if you think about it. But they have a whole new stadium and everything. So Lowell is so secluded. The only thing they have is professional women's hockey, which has ended, right? And then they have the college. So during it's a dead period between those times, and we fill that dead period. And so that's why it's great. I mean, there's over, like, you know, 1.5 million people that live in the area. It's amazing. So I think Lowell can work. But again, it's all about marketing, and we should do an episode about marketing and just talk about, like, all the strategies that kind of go into it, how you market a team successfully.
I think that's a great idea. And in fact, I think we could get a lot of good guests that could give us some really good insight into how they market their teams. And honestly, maybe that's one of those episodes that we get guys like Ricky Burtz on, and maybe Lisa as well with Pueblo, because I think she's done a really good job of marketing that team so far. Literally, I think they post something every day on the Pueblo Punishers page to make sure they're staying relevant and you know, slowly rolling out information to keep fans interested. So I think there's a lot of different people we could bring on for an episode like that. I think I personally would love that episode. I mean, maybe fans would love it too, because that's their opportunity to throw their suggestions out and get them in front of the people that they think that I think that it would be good for the league and for those people as well. Texas Pete, this is awesome to read, man. I mean, I don't even know what to say, really. It kind of touches me that you have been following along that long and you know, realize the impact that we've had, because it's awesome to see. That's what we're all about. We're trying to grow these alternative leagues, because really at the end of the day, what's it about? It's about the players, the coaches, the people who are looking for the opportunities to raise their professional career. One way I think would be a lot more ticket giveaways and stuff, build a reputation of high attendance, and people would want to go. Would love an episode about marketing teams. Thank you, Chloe, for that. I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you for being here today and giving us your opinion on that. Or have a fan fest like Omaha is doing to get the fans' input and suggestions on what they want to see.
We had that 2 years ago at a Uno's restaurant. I don't know if they have Uno's out where you live, but there's a place called Uno. It's a Chicago-style pizza that we have up our way on the East Coast. We had it with a week notice. There was 300 people that showed up to this Uno, and it was cramped to meet the players and coaches. I don't know why we never did that again. And I'm like, the amount of people that would come out for a fan fest, like he's absolutely right. People love those community team events. Like, I don't know why we didn't capitalize on that more, honestly.
One of the reasons why I would definitely be talking to Ricky if we do a marketing episode. So Ricky, would love to have you on for that episode. I think you could lend us a lot of really good advice, and would love to hear some suggestions you have on people that would be good guests for that, because I think you would probably have a good idea on guys that have good ideas and some people who are changing the game a little bit. But this has been a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I think I needed this episode today a little bit more than I did in previous weeks. So I appreciate everybody who came on and all the comments and that have been rolling in. Really appreciate Krish for lining up a bunch of great guests today. Ricky wins the next NAL announcement. Talk to my agent Krish on my schedule. I didn't know Krish represented owners now. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Krish, moving up in the world, buddy. That's great.
What Ricky needs to do is get me in contact if we actually do move to Orlando. I need some rich people in Massachusetts that he knows to help me start a team up again so I can blow through the NAL.
That's awesome. Chloe says, I hope the team coming to Cincinnati can actually get involved in the community. If not, they're DOA. I think that goes for any team out there. If you are in an established team, if you're a new team, if you've been doing it for a few years, you should be out in the community as much as you possibly can. I think the Omaha Beef and teams like them would definitely show how important that stuff is. But Brandon
Coach Brown is going to have a jersey already hung up on the rafters, a Voodoo Taco. I guarantee we've been to that place like 8 times already in the last month.
Hey, sometimes that's what it takes at the end of the day. People have got to know who you are to support what you're about, right? So I think it's important. I think it's smart. And, more power to all these guys that are getting out there and kind of making these things happen for their team. But definitely love all the comments that are rolling in. I would love to sit here and just, take comments all day because you guys have great ideas and great suggestions. It's great. And this comment right here makes me laugh because it is so true. Coach Negron says I've been there more than 8 times, but like I said, I would love to sit here and take comments all day, but as you guys can hear, I got some lightsabers going on in the background, and I really need to, get off of here and, hang out with my kid and pay some attention to him. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up for the day. We do have one more quick subject that I wanted to ask you about. Who are some coaches that you would recommend for the current openings? I gave 3 suggestions on our Facebook page. If you want to go check that out, that'd be great. Would love if everybody tuned in or jumped over to the Facebook page and added some more suggestions there. But I'm also curious to hear your suggestions in the comments here. Who do you think is the next up-and-coming head coach in any league? My suggestions were guys like Tay Brooks, Bones Pagante. Deron Clark could definitely be on that list. Sorry I didn't throw him on the first one. Adam Loftus from Omaha, I think, is one as well. But who are your guys, Krish?
All right, so I'm biased, but I'll say Jordan Mosley, obviously, could. I think J-Mo, one thing, I'm in the locker room every game, so I see how players respond to him. There's a lot of guys he's got a lot out of that before weren't producing. I think J-Mo would be a great head coach in the league. Another name is Keontae Northington, DB for defensive coordinator for Indy Fisher Freight. Led the number 3 defense in the league. He'll be a great head coach one day. Matt Bainhard, offensive coordinator Green Bay. Another name that stands out to me, it's kind of underrated. Doesn't get a lot of love in the game. Is Xavier Jackson. Xavier's been at it for a while. I think he would be a great head coach. There's a lot of good ones. Let's see. Anson Yarbo, defensive line coach for Tucson. He was 8-0 as a head coach before. If Coach Marlon would be great. If he wants to be a head coach, he could already be a head coach by now. Honestly, he's so experienced. Anthony Payton, offensive coordinator in Nashville. Obviously, I heard his chin. It's kind of established. We know how good of a head coach he can be. And then I think another name that would stand out to me eventually would be Marty Gilliard. He was a wide receivers coach. He has a lot of experience in the indoor game. I think he would be a great head coach down the line. I'm not saying next year, but down the line. And then I think my final one, I mean, I've been on Adam Loftus since day one. I love Adam Loftus. Like I said, at Colorado Spartans, man, you should hire him to be the head coach. I think Adam Loftus would get a lot out of that football program. I think he would lead Colorado to a championship, honestly. And then my final one, it's hard. I would say, obviously, your boy in Southwest Kansas, but Coach Rez is another one that stands out to me. If I was starting a team, I would give Coach Rez a head coaching opportunity in the NAL. And then I know you love Tay Brooks to death, so Tay is probably number 1, 2, and 3 on your list. But let's see. Yeah, those are my main ones. And then the DC for Quad City. He's a great leader of men from what I hear. So there's a lot of good candidates out there, but I hope more younger coaches get opportunities like Coach Mosley was saying earlier.
I would agree. And actually, to be quite honest with you, Krish, you were the one that kind of turned me on to paying attention to what was going on with Adam Loftus and in Omaha. But I think he's a guy who a lot of teams should be a lot higher on him and seeing what it would take to get him as a head coach. He's really young. He's an up and coming guy. And on top of that, like you look at what the Beef defense did last season, they were a big reason why the Beef remained competitive while the offense really wasn't doing what it would normally do. But with all that being said, this has been a great episode. Like I said, almost 3 hours, but I got to wrap it up. As much as I would love to sit here and chat with you guys all day, definitely look forward to next week when we can come back for another episode. But on that note, hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys jump over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Also check out all of our merch at brandingblakes.com in the Shady Sports Network section. And then also Chandler says hi, Krish.
That was a great episode, man.
I agree.